A very good morning to everyone. You folks never fail to surprise me. I'm so impressed at the turnout for this session on a Sunday morning when we usually wake up to a laid back agenda free day. But as you all know, we at AABN have been trying to transform this lethargic phase into a productive phase by presenting to you a gamut of technical and business experts and seasoned speakers to talk to you about upgrading core skills and competencies relevant to changing times and future challenges. So at the outset, I owe each of you a big thanks for logging, and I assure you that the next 1 hour is definitely going to be a rewarding experience with useful takeaways for us. Yes, I'm saying this with confidence because such is the profile of our guest speaker today. There are two sides to Mr. J. Muthukumar. One is that of him being a founder, managing director of the successful IWEL's Integrated Management Consultant DMCC, Dubai, someone who transformed a traditional firm into a professionally run business and a competent brand in the oil and gas upstream market. The other side is that of him being a very engaging, motivational speaker who can easily inspire positive changes in his audience. While preparing for today's event, my thoughts raced down memory lane to a time when talking to seniors on campus was considered to be a big task. So though we never got to interact freely with many of our seniors, they are still undoubtedly an important part of my cherished Annamalai memories. It came as no surprise when I chanced upon studious Muthukumar many years later, and I've been able to follow his stupendous success. Whether it was his work in the highly complex field of oil exploration and production, or in pushing the idea, value creation, technology, application, risk, impact, and consequences to ensure safety in the workplace, he has left his indelible imprint in all that he undertook. Today, he has emerged as one of the most sought-after voices when it comes to the highly complex field of oil exploration and production. Today's session sees aging, grow but do not age, an engineer's approach part 2. He has been working for nearly a year to find a task different from oil and gas that will be a benefit to humanity, to add 2 cents of his worth as a service. After a lot of research, including disciplines like education and training, he found a passion in health and aging. He has been working for nearly a year to understand why we age and why we cannot prevent diseases from an engineer's perspective. It is in this context that AABN decided to put together this interactive session, part 2, by this awesome speaker with fresh perspectives to address us. Before I hand over the floor to Mr. Muthukumar, let me quickly run you through his achievements. Muthukumar is a process architect with close to 4 decades of experience in the highly complex field of oil exploration and production. He is an expert in project delivery, value creation, technology applications, risk, impact, and consequences. He understands and utilizes the value of computing power, information technology, and artificial intelligence. He also believes in sustainable growth with full understanding of intellectual and economic disparity, such that it does not disturb the social balance, equality, justice, and the equilibrium of existence which is bestowed upon us by nature and God. He believes strongly that any new innovation and technology must be based on not only pride and economics, but also on compassion and empathy towards humanity. He is an alumnus and graduated with a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from Annamalai University in 1984, followed by a master's degree in chemical and petroleum engineering from IIT Kharagpur and a postgraduate program in data science from the University of Texas, Austin. He has held several senior level positions in the industry and has several technical publications, innovations, and intellectual property to his credit. Apart from business, his interests lie in social work and create value and service-oriented business model that will serve the humanity for a long, healthy, and happy life. Muthukumar, fondly known as MGR in the campus, is a globetrotter and as someone who is passionate of his service to humanity. So I'm not going to make you wait longer. We'll let Mr. Muthukumar take over and regale you with his astute experiences and fresh ideas. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Gopi, and thank you very much for the introduction. And good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining this discussion. And so this is a part 2 of the one we discussed 3 weeks back. And here I would like to take something. There are going to be 2 different parts. The part 1 is going to be a very interesting aspect where we are going to discuss some very critical processes that actually make us live, just survive, even to breathe every day. What are the practical processes? And if they're not managed well by our lifestyle practices, what happens to them, how we damage them. Then we go into the 3 major aspects of our life, which is the food, the spices on the food, and also the health, which the sleep, which is very, very critical for us to understand. So please bear with me on the first half an hour to discuss through the very important. Some of you may get bored and don't leave because it's a complex thing. Our body is very, very complex, and I try to make it as simple as possible to explain from an engineering perspective. So today we all know our life expectancy is 70 plus years worldwide. The COVID-19 reduced it by 2, 3 years, but still it's about 70 plus overall. But the problem is, in the last 60 or 70 years, our health span has not crossed more than 55. Almost most of the people above the age of 55 have some kind of a medical ailment, and they have some tablets or medicines or treatment, something going on with them. And it is from the overall data and statistics worldwide, most of the people, the last 20% of their life, in a 70 years of life, say around 14, 15 years, they are fraught with pain, suffering, medicines, therapies, healthcare support, dependency on others. It's really a mind-boggling fear for a lot of people. And we have to understand one thing very clearly. Even about 30 years back, the life expectancy was between 50 to 60 years. And so many people have died before going into major health problems. Today, people live up to 80, 90 with the help of medication. So you can see the onset of Alzheimer, dementia, Parkinson's, everything going up extensively because they onset at the age of around 50, 55, and they surface around 60, 65 for many people. So 30 years before, you would not have heard about Alzheimer a lot because it was there. We used to call us memory loss of this and that. Since we are going to live up to 80, 90, unless we do something very bad for our health, the current medical science will keep us living up to 80, 90. The chances of also having old age diseases also very high. And we do not want to live depending on others, even to go to a toilet in the morning. And that's very important, actually. So the question is, why I cannot have my own blue zone? Blue zone is defined in the world as a place where highest percentage of people living 100 plus years very healthy as compared to rich and developed countries. Last time I shared the 5 major places of blue zones across the world, but it is possible for us to do it. But who is stopping us? It is us. We are stopped. If we take control of our lives, then we can live longer and healthier. So what are some amazing tools based on science, a lot of medical research, advances in medical science, and also other aspects. And in my own research for more than a year of reading through nearly 500 research papers and attending a lot of seminars and webinars with medical conferences, what I also understood is the human body is an engineering machine. It's nothing to do with the medical. It's an engineering machine with electromechanical chemical processes. And aging itself is a disease. And we do not die of old age. All of us have to remember one thing. Just because we are 60 or 70 or 80 today, we don't die because of old age. We die of diseases coming out of the old age. But we start aging from day one when you are born on the earth. We already discussed in detail about this in the section 1. But our real decline, our brain's capacity and the intellectuality, intelligence, everything starts coming down at the age of around 30. So only if we are mindful, we can live a long, healthy, and better life. We have to be mindful. We'll talk about mindful later. So just to close it out, human body is an engineering machine. It cannot be left to medicine alone. It is not going to take away the great advances made by medical science. Absolutely not. But as we discussed in the part 1, it must be complemented with engineering principles and social behavioral sciences. So we already discussed about my qualification. Some people who are joined new to this part 2 may question me who I am. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a qualified MD at the end of my degree. I'm also not a self-proclaimed healer of unregulated conceptual therapies of the world. I'm not a yogi or astrologer to treat the body, mind, and soul from the effects of karma, or sins, or guilt. I am an engineer. I am an expert in risk management. I manage very, very complex projects which has got a lot of non-linear and random risk, which can lead to a major disasters of the world. So with that approach, I started reading about human machine and identified I'm using those principles into our human anatomy and health. So I'm going to present only the engineering principles of the body, and it's left to each one of us to decide how we want to live. So we have to remember that we are born from day one and we are chronologically aging, but our biological age can be completely different. Somebody with 70 years of age can have a 40 years biological age, or somebody of 50 years can have a biological age of 90 plus. So what is happening is, apart from we grow every year and celebrate our birthdays with cakes and kisses and gifts, biologically, we are progressively losing the efficiency of the body's, the physiological and biochemical processes. And we don't realize it. We don't realize it even at the age of 50, we just keep abusing our body continuously. I was doing the same thing. I'm not something new. I learned only about 5-6 years back that something I'm doing wrong with my body and started thinking differently. One caution for us, there are thousands of papers, lectures, and hundreds of books on aging, diseases, and health. But we have to understand, because of the ongoing research, the extreme fast pace of that, many of the theories and concepts, they become completely obsolete and outdated as soon as new findings are coming up. What you have, suppose you go to look at a paper in Google, type something on Google now. If you see a paper which is made on 2006 or 2007, don't even read it, because there's no validity anymore, no more validity. You have to look at papers after 2017. A lot of breakthrough has happened in the medical industry. Because what happened was, there was a huge changeover when genome was kind of made in 2002, and the next 8 years was everybody's talking that we have found the answer. Even Bill Clinton, the American president, said, we know the answer of God, because we're able to open up the genome. But it is not the case. Then 2017, epigenetics become very big, and everybody started writing paper after paper after paper, thousands of papers. So every day something is changing. So please ensure that you do not fall into this very old information. We have every year, every 6 months, something is changing in this world. So what is critical then? The only way in life, always, whether it is our health, even our own life, day-to-day life, is always you get updated. So there are some foundational and fundamental principles. They don't change at all. They stay the same. Like our solar system, our sun's orbit around the sun, they stay the same. They are foundational principles. We have to learn it. How we do in engineering? In engineering, when you do very complex projects, when you do that, you first understand there are foundational principles. You apply that principles to expand it to a bigger way. That's why Burj Khalifa, a 1 kilometer tall building, was built in Dubai. And similarly, is extraordinary engineering projects across the world, including Panama Canal in the US. That's what we should do our body. Understand the fundamental principles, and then automatically, without anybody's help, we used to go to astrologers, we used to go to soothsayers and doctors and everything. We don't have to do anything. You will understand what we have to do. And also important thing, capitalizing the old age, diseases and death. What happened is, today, the lot of billions of dollars are made on immortality science, expensive dubious remedies, nutritional programs, billions of dollars. Last year, remember, last year, the pharmaceutical industry revenue was 1.6 trillion. It includes hospitals, healthcare, everything. And the money put on research was $272 billion. $272 billion into research. And out of that, 95% was only to find a cure, not to prevent diseases. Because 1.6 trillion is a big business for the industry. Now, beyond that, there's a 3 trillion business for food industry. So with 5 trillion business, the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry have no interest to give you good health. There's a conflict of interest for them. That is why a lot of rich and wealthy people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to achieve an unknown dream of immortality. Oh, we don't want to, I want to live for 150 years. Even I don't want to sell the name. You know that. If you open up the social media, you know some great people, billionaires who made money, and they'll say, I want to live 150 years. This is what I'm doing. To be just to share something, I was going through one of the billionaires' self-proclamation of 150 years and say what he was doing. And he said that he went to an MRI to look at everything out. And he said that 10 years from now, today, you're going to have this disease. 23 years from now, you're going to have this disease. So he started taking medication for that today, 23 years before. And how much money he spent for it? The MRI cost him $70,000 and something else cost him $137,000. So to understand this, he spent about $250,000. Normal people, you and me, can we do that? No one knows. 23 years from today, he says you get a disease and he's taking medication for it. It's all, so let's not fall for it. Normal people like us who work very hard to make our life and ends meet, we don't have to worry about. We don't have to spend this money running behind these billionaire celebrities. We can do this without spending any money, but just living a good life. But that requires dedicated, serious perseverance. It's not a joke. Let's take it serious. So what is death? I can ask a question to you. I can challenge you. Many of you will not have a definition of a death correctly. Because even countries across the world have a different definitions. Even in the US, for example, one state defines death differently, another state defines death differently. Medical science has no clarity on what is death today. Throughout the world, there is no clarity on death. So when you go to a hospital and somebody dies, well, the doctor says he's dead. It does not have any meaning about it. There's no regulations for it. We believe whatever the doctor is telling. The challenge, you can ask a question, is that even somebody is declared dead, many of his organs are alive. After somebody has died, you know that we can transplant his eyes, liver, heart, kidneys to somebody else. So they're not dead, they're alive. So how can you say call yourself dead? You have to remember that. Keep that in mind. Going with that. So what is death physiologically? First, for us to understand what is being alive. What do you mean by being alive? When we are alive, what happens is the body works as an integrated whole, all of them together. The entire body, its functions, organs, cells, genes, systems, and processes, all together work as an integrated whole. So even when you're suffering from a disease, you're alive, the function, but it's inefficient. That's all. It's fighting against diseases, but it's inefficient. So remember this. So what happens with the same thing? What happens in death? Death actually happens when the effective communication between all the components of body is disturbed and lost completely. You have communication system through nervous systems, circulatory systems, everything talks to each other. And the effective communication is lost, you basically lose this integrated whole. All your organs work independently. Everything will work independently, but they are not coagulated, integrated as a whole. So when they stop functioning as a whole, you are declared dead. Then you can still remove some of the organs and transplant to somebody else. So what is important for us then? To ensure that we keep our body working as a whole at all times. Whenever some function, some part of the body is not working well, you're going to get a disease. That's what disease is about. There is no definition about it. When you get a disease, you have to think that some part of my body is not functioning as a whole, is not integrating very well. So what makes a body to function as a whole? Only one thing, energy. Remember that. Your energy runs your body. Every single species, every object, every material in this universe operate only due to energy. Without energy, even the universe itself will die and perish. We discussed in length in the first part. When we are born, our energy is really high. And we get older, our energy starts to drop. And then when you die, our energy is basically zero in the body. What keeps these energy levels is something called entropy, coming from second law of thermodynamics, which is my invention and innovation. What I'm trying to find out is that how to measure this entropy in the body. When we are born, our entropy is low. Every mother knows here who are given a birth to a baby how much apart from the mother suffering to release the baby out to this world, the baby goes through so much of issues moving from a protected home all the way down to the world. The path, the journey it is crossing through, it's extremely high pressure. It requires very high energy to come out of this, and then suddenly sees an open world, and he has to breathe and cry, and you have to feel everything, hunger, pain, everything, and start doing that. And requires a lot of energy for doing that. That energy, because our entropy that time when you are born, the entropy is very, very, very low. And when you die, entropy is very high, where energy becomes zero. So the entropy is a fundamental factor which makes it. Entropy applies everywhere in the universe. Every aspect of the world is affected by entropy. That is why the second law of thermodynamics is one of the mind-boggling things even for scientists even today, how to define it. So to live healthier and longer, we have to keep our entropy low and energy high. And that is for that, that's what we're going to discuss now. So before we do that, I told you about the first part is going to be very interesting, but a little complex. Many of you may not be happy or comfortable with this, but please bear with this, because if you understand this, you will respect your body. See, I am like everyone, normal people. I was abusing my body for nearly 20 years. When I grew up my industry, I became a chief operating officer. And then next to 20 years was, yes, I'm the project man. I was running around, ignoring food, diet, eating at whatever time I like to eat. Only one good thing but I kept on doing one exercise. So that's what exercise and dancing was my passion. I never left it, irrespective of how busy I was. It was helping me. But at the same time, I realized 5 years back that something else is happening to the body. We should do something differently. So I'm like a normal guy, but around 55 years of age, I started realizing something is wrong. So I started reading it. And last 1 year was an extensive research. One thing I can tell you now, all of us can live up to 100, 120 years comfortably with the advanced medical research if we are able to put our effort. Can you hear me?
No.
We can hear you, sir.
We can hear you.
Please hold for a second. My laptop went off suddenly. I'm trying to reboot. Thank you. Mr. Gopi, can you give me
Hello?
can you give me access to share the screen?
Yeah, sure. Hello? PS, can you just make Mr. Muthukumar co-host? You're done, sir. Done, sir.
I'm really sorry because my computer crashed suddenly. I don't know what happened. So, all right. Can you hear me back? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're talking about two critical aspects which keep us alive and healthy. You just even to survive, even to breathe every day morning, from the time we are born until we die, is homeostasis. We have to understand that. Without that, and every function inside the body will start to malfunction. We will crumble and die. Our internal body, because of external conditions around you, keep changing up and down. They must be kept within acceptable limits throughout the day, throughout our life. If you go to a medical checkup next time, look at, they're going to test about 30 or 40 different parameters. Every one of them are maintained by homeostasis. Simple example, everybody knows blood glucose levels, body temperature, and blood pressure. It is an immense super value product. Nobody has, even a human-made engineering machine can work like that. And that is the exact thing you have to also understand. This is nothing to do with medical. It's an engineering process. I want to give you an example of how the body is sustaining our temperature. All of you know that our average body temperature is 37 degrees centigrade or 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So we know the doctor will give you a tablet immediately or give something else if the temperature is fever, which 104 degrees, you get into fever. If the temperature falls down to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, you get hypothermia, is a medical emergency for you. So how is this controlled? The body maintains day in and day night, every day, between 38 degrees in a small range, between 98 to 100 and 98 to 95. It's a very small range. Something called hypothalamus in the brain. We have studied in the biology in the school, but after we left the school, we left the biology also. So many of you can remember this hypothalamus. What does it do? It's a beautiful machine. It does a real-time monitoring 24 hours a day. When you're awake or sleep, whatever, it doesn't sleep. If you're living for 70 years, it's not sleeping for 70 years, even for 1 minute. It will monitor your temperature all the time and control it. What does it do? Your temperature drops down. Immediately, it will activate the insulating mechanism. It will generate body heat inside. You know, you shiver a lot when you are very cold. Temperature goes down, you shiver because it's shivering you to create heat in the body. That's a natural process of making you shiver. So don't curse when you're shivering because it is good for you. And also what it does immediately is reduces the blood flow to the skin, automatically reduces the blood flow because the body's inner heat, the core has to be maintained. Otherwise, we'll die or go into hypothermia. It does a lot. I just put 2, 3 important things. The shivering, everybody is experienced. And without our knowledge, our blood flow to the skin is reduced significantly. Temperature goes high. Immediately you see that it's going from 98.6 to 99, 99.4. It again activates insulating mechanisms and immediately gives a muscular activity to give off heat. Body will throw off the heat. What do? You perspire, you sweat. Through sweating, it actually goes. So when you're high fever, sometimes some people say, right, when our grandmas used to say, our mothers used to say, hey, you are sweating. That means you are cured now. No fever. Fever is gone. When you sweat, the heat is going off from the body, which is a good sign. It also increases the blood flow. It takes the heat of the inner core towards the skin and will remove it. It increases the blood flow automatically. It happens 24 hours without your knowledge, without you understanding anything about it. This is homeostasis. Like this, it is doing for nearly 30 or 40 parameters every day. And you can respect the body because of that. Second one is from the time you are born, as soon as you come out of mother's womb, you are going to be bombarded by millions and millions of bacteria, viruses, fungi, microbes, and everything, one of them. And your body immunity does not kick off, you die. There's no way we can live actually. Within few minutes, we'll die after we are born. Until we die, this immunity works actually. And the immunity has got three major aspects we have to understand. That is why it's important for us. If you want to live long and healthy, we have to understand how to maintain our immunity. Simple example, in the COVID-19 cases, 16% of COVID-19 deaths were in US. Everybody knows USA is a great, rich, developed country. Sanitation is fantastic. Everywhere you go, the toilets are very good. Hotels, bus stand, petrol stations, everywhere well maintained. Hospitals are very great. But the immunity levels were so low. But what happened in Africa and India? Just many Indians never even bother about vaccination. They had this Neela Vembu Neer and Kapasubara Neer, something like that. They managed it. A lot of people, I know myself personally, people managed only with concoction without worrying about it. In Africa, I was in Africa that time during COVID-19. I never felt anybody feeling bad about it. People are so casual. Everybody was walking around, laughing and joking. Never, they just eating something. The immunity levels are very high. But people living in the US and UK never had a better immunity like that. So it's important to understand immunity is born with us. We have to maintain that. We should not lose it. First, immunity is the skin. Your skin is beautiful, actually. It's very strong and powerful. Many of we do not even respect our skin. We use all kinds of soaps and things spoil it like anything. But the skin is a wonderful barrier because it's a direct contact with the world at any part of entire body from skull to the toe. And it's a great barrier. It actually stops any bacteria, virus, microbes enter into it, except through the holes open, the nose, mouth, kind of thing. So it also gets continuously cuts and scratches and everything. It has to build it again. You get a small cut when cutting vegetables in the kitchen. It immediately, what does it do? It actually builds back, stops the blood. So skin is the first thing. Second is innate immunity system. It actually born with us. We are born with the innate immune system. We can't change it. It also comes from everything, from your mother and everybody actually. So one important thing is the innate immune system. That is why when a child is born, within 1 minute of its birth, he understands what is immunity. Immediately will fight between what is self and an outsider. Every intruder will start killing. Before the child cries for milk with hunger, or he cries because of a pain, the first thing activates is the immune system. That's why he breathes actually. It immediately attack any intruder or any microbe coming into it. It's not that every hospital very sanitized for delivering babies. We have seen in villages and there are so many places women deliver babies, even in the fields, even in the farms. They're not sanitized. How the child is living. The innate system immediately will come up. But it is not an expert system. It only knows one thing. It is my body, it is an outsider. Good or bad, it will attack. But that is what is required for you to live safely. But when it cannot do something, some microbes or some pathogens are very powerful. They know how to attack our innate immune system. They live by it, they'll multiply very faster. If that happens, this will immediately call, please come, adaptive immune system, please come. They'll give a distress signal and then adaptive system will come in. It's the third line of defense. This one we learn, that is in our hand. As we grow, because of our food, our diet, good spices, healthy food, good practices, good sleep, we develop this. If we do not have adaptive immune system, we have to be blamed. Because this one knows each and every intruder, specific. He's an expert doctor. He's a surgeon. He's a military strategist. It will come attack. It's a microbe. It's a fungi. It is a bacteria. It's a virus. I'm going to attack it. And then to learn about everything. And not only that, you have to understand this is very good. One virus comes, it will learn about the entire family of the virus. Even a future virus, it knows, oh, this virus can mutate like this and come tomorrow. That is why if you have very good resistance to COVID today, tomorrow you'll be saved. Because even a similar family comes in, your immunity system knows what to do. But it's not born with us. We have to be trained and refined over several years. So, but the problem is, as we grow older, our immune system, adaptive system comes down. That is why we get into diseases. So you understand the most important homeostasis and the immunity system. What is important? I'm not going to go through this now. Let's move in actually. So these are the two important things we have to always remember. For a long, healthy life, we must focus on our immunity and homeostasis. Unfortunately, this is the last thing we think about, right? Our chosen lifestyle practices and growth objectives keep us out of this completely. We don't even understand them, respect them. So what is beyond this now? This is the two interesting things you have to come in. A lot of people heard about it. If I say free radicals, antioxidants, everybody will know about it because you have been taking green teas left and right with antioxidants. Anything with antioxidant we buy in the supermarket. Anything stamped as fighting against free radicals, we buy it actually. And this is what is important. The oxidative stress is the process in which free radicals are produced. And they can create a lot of diseases for us. It's very important. Free radicals induced stress is a cause of several diseases like diabetes. Many of us suffering on that. Neurodegenerative, Alzheimer, dementia, Parkinson, cardiovascular, anything with respect to heart, including hypertension, asthma, cataract in the eyes, arthritis, and some forms of cancer. You can understand that free radicals, how dangerous they are for us. You also have to understand what is it, right? So I was very complex, extremely complex. Okay, if you go to Google, if you type something, you'll never get some good, easy explanation of oxidative process. Even medical, I tell you one thing, based on the 4 years of medical degree course, they don't study oxidative process more than 4 hours in their entire curriculum. So many doctors may not be able to explain they understand free radical issue, but the principle behind it is not easy. If you go and buy maybe MD level, you get some textbooks which are written very complex, or scientists and labs will have it. So what we'll do is we'll try to make it very simple. Okay. We consume most of the oxygen we inhale from the air. And the balance is converted into something called reactive oxygen species, which is ROS. They only form the free radicals. They damage our cells completely. DNA and cells and genes, everything they damaged by the free radicals. What does it do? The free radicals is it's like, I don't want to, this is a difficult process unless you know chemistry, you may not like it actually or understand it. So I'm going to do something else. Suppose you have a car, you know that you're supposed to have 4 wheels. Free radicals, if it's a car, assume that free radical is a car. It will have only 3 wheels, not 4 wheels. So in order to run, what free radical will do is you start looking for somebody to steal that 4th wheel. So you go around the roads and say any car is parked here, nobody is there, it's weak and nobody is watching it. So you suddenly go and steal one of the wheels of the car and put it on it. It becomes stable, it starts running in. That's what free radical. It doesn't have one electron. It's because that's why this, if you look at the picture here, if you see my mouse, one green is not here in a free radical. So what happens, it is actually looking for it. The missing electron here, the red one, the free radical, is missing. He's so looking for it. So what you'll do is you'll go around the body and look at a very weak cell. And if a weak cell is there for whatever reasons, it will steal that electron from that. Take the 4th wheel from some other car, steal it and run away. So what will happen now? That car from which the 4th wheel was stolen needs another 4th wheel. So it will start looking around some other weak place. It's a cascading process. So the free radical will steal an electron from one nice, weak, unstable molecule. Once it loses the electron, it will start looking for something else. So it is continuous process. So what happens is the whole body is now fighting to become stable. So that will produce energy and focus and homeostasis and whatever it is. What can it do? And that's why God has made beautifully something called antioxidant. The antioxidants fight the free radicals. How? This is another car thing. So you have a car with 3 wheels, which is free radical. You have a very weak car with 4 wheels. Nobody's taking care of it. The car is standing there for a long time. Nobody knows who's the owner of that car. Is very weak. You can easily steal. No, this comes one. Antioxidant comes with a stepney. It comes with 5 wheels. 4 wheels drive, it's got a stepney. It comes to a free radical and say, wait, don't steal. I have a stepney. You take it from my dicky and put that one. So don't steal from me. So it protects that weak car. It also gives 1 wheel to the free radical. Now, because it's got 5 wheels, one is a stepney, the antioxidant will continue running smoothly. That's what antioxidant does. It's got 1 extra electron and gives that electron to the free radical and neutralize it. So when you have a lot of antioxidants, it will kill all the free radicals. It actually doesn't kill, it neutralizes them, makes them stable. So a weak free radical becomes stable because of antioxidant. Where the problem comes, when the free radical is very, very high, antioxidant is small, then there is no enough antioxidants to neutralize the free radicals. That goes into oxidative stress. It damages your cells, tissues, proteins, and DNA. That's where you get diseases. You understand now? That is why antioxidants are very important. But most importantly, why the free radicals are formed? Again, you're coming back to the same thing. Because it is our lifestyle practices. Too much of alcohol, too much of smoking, junk food, and medicine. Some medicines can create free radicals. I don't want to name the medicines here because of confidentiality. But some paracetamol, something we take for even for a headache, then create free radicals. So don't run to the over-the-top counter like people in America do. Everything's a tablet for them. Our grandmas have a better idea how to treat headache at home, but we run to the pharmacy to buy a paracetamol. They can create free radicals. And of course, air and water pollution, radiation, all this can cause free radicals. So medicines are not always the cure, remember. But very important, by capitalizing the concept of antioxidants, food and pharmaceutical industries created a huge profit for them. You name it, you green tea, specialty, that one, this one, anything with antioxidants on the supermarkets, anything with antioxidants in the table and the beautiful box in a pharmacy. We spend so much of money to do that. Many of them are glorified products. But very simple. Our naturally occurring many good herbs, spices have much higher antioxidant than anything else. Give a simple example. You can go to Google and search it, not a problem. Nellikai, our Indian gooseberry, Nellikai, has got 25 times more antioxidant than a green tea. How much you pay for each of them? You pay at least 50 times more money. You can buy a Nellika for 2 rupees or even 1 rupee on the road. Many of which is even available free for you. The Nellika has got 25 times more antioxidants. Compared to a green tea, we are paying 25 times more money in the supermarkets. I see a lot of people. I only drink green tea. I sometimes think about it because our ginger, our garlic, every small herbs and spices we use have better antioxidants. So you don't have to spend money. If you know what it is, then we can, by good food and good diet, we can create a lot of So our aim, why I talked about this stress is that, although it is more of a process, please, we have to increase our antioxidants by natural food and diet instead of depending upon glorified materials in the supermarkets and pharmacies. Talk to a nutritionist if you understand them.
Sure.
Next is information. It's very fast to know. When you get information, we always get angry.
Sure.
We always mad about information. But information is immunity's defense mechanism. It is perfect for a caveman thousands of years ago, but modern civilization, what we did, we created it into a curse. We made the inflammation as an enemy. When you make a small cut in your body, right, you see the blood rushing out of it. It becomes some swelling. That swelling and that blood rushing is information, which is trying to protect you. See, our people may not know, our grandmas may not know what it is, but if you get cut, what the first question they ask you? Remember, just try to remember what they ask. Did you get the blood out? Did blood ooze out of the wound? That's the first question they ask. If the blood has come out, they say, you are safe, you are safe. But they say, suppose you're walking and a thorn has pricked your feet, blood is not coming out, they know immediately that there is a small piece of thorn inside your leg. They will ensure that it's taken out. As they say, blood is coming out, you are safe. They know that. The blood coming out is the inflammation. Is actually coming to protect, to swell it and protect you from any bacteria entering into that wound. So it's very vital. So these are the actions. Whenever this happens, inflammation happens. I don't want to go through this, but you know that, so I can share this presentation anyway. The physical causes, bone injury, trauma, anything happening, chemical wise, if you eat a lot of glucose, we'll come to that later, sugar and beautiful party and eat a lot of laddus and gulab jamuns, fatty acids, any toxins coming from chemicals and processed chemicals, lot of alcohol, damaged cells, stress. Psychologically, when you're working, a lot of stress is created when you're working and living life. And of course, pathogens like bacteria and virus, anything happens, inflammation happens. So without inflammation, you won't, immunity may act, but without proper inflammation, it is not effective as a defense mechanism. So inflammation is very important, but what we have done is that we made it as a chronic inflammation. Diabetes, hypertension, heart diseases, kidney problems, liver problems, everything is chronic inflammation caused by our lifestyle practices, the food we eat, the diet we eat, and we don't sleep well properly, we don't do exercise. 24 hours on a Sunday, we either go to a mall and watch a movie and keep eating popcorns, or we sit in a sofa and watch Netflix and Prime TV all the time. And that is the cause of chronic inflammation. That inflammation was a defensive mechanism created by evolution. But we convert that into a chronic inflammation and a disease. Remember that this diabetes, hypertension, bowel diseases, especially the irritable bowel syndrome, people having stomach problems, digestive problems, everything coming from improper handling of the inflammation issue. The last one is epigenome. Please bear with me on this. Hallmark of aging, epigenome is one of the most critical aspects. You are born with your genes. Nobody can change it. Unfortunately, we have a defective gene. It's gone. We can't do anything about it. As of today, medical science cannot replace your genes. But epigenome is different. I'm going to tell you something very interesting. Remember that. How many cells you have in your body? Medical science do not know that even today. See, I'm not against medical science, but I'm telling you that there's a lot of things medical science do not know. So, but they're giving you tablets and medicines for you to eat. Side effects are there, it gets affected. We just go for it. Somebody have a heart patient, go there, do whatever they call it, angiography and all these things. Many people say it doesn't require. People don't explain what is happening. I'll put it on slide later, but it's very interesting to understand one thing very clearly for every one of us. In life, there are 4 aspects. One is statement of facts. Second is description. Third is explanation. And fourth is fundamentals. Most of us, 95% of us, we only talk about statement of fact. You look at any movie, you watch it, any book, you read it, any kind of a YouTube video, podcast, everything is statement of fact. The same thing is repeated again and again and again in different forms. Nothing innovative in that. Seriously, I can bet you go back and take a newspaper of 1940, take the one of 1960, take the one of 1980, take all the Indian elections, all the papers, for example, simplest thing. I read the paper. Oh, Election Commission found this cash from this car, this much of cash. They're taking money from the farmer. They're taking money from the milk vendor. This is seen for last 40 years in every newspaper, in every election. Nothing changed even in 2024. Same statement of fact is keep repeating again and again and again by media and everything. So medical science, I'm not blaming against it. They do not know everything. For example, science have no idea how many cells are in our body. It was said 100, 120 trillion, 100 trillion, 70 trillion. Today, they're saying a male has got 36 trillion and a female has got 28 trillion. I don't know. This is what 8 trillion cells are less for a female. As of latest 2023, new scientists have stated. What was the actual number? But the trillions of cells is a big thing. But when you get conceived, every one of us, when you are conceived in a mother's womb by the sperm from the father and the egg of the mother, there's only one single cell is formed. They call it zygote. All of you know biological lessons. Zygote. Zygote is a single cell. That single cell is growing into 36 trillion cells by the time you're an adult. It's not great, seriously. One single cell going to 36 trillion cells. What happens is, as soon as it is conceived, it immediately splits into two. 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8. They keep on growing, and when the child comes out, it's got trillions of cells on it. But by the time it becomes a full adult, it becomes a wonderful, vibrant machine, handsome adult of 36 trillion or 28 trillion, depending upon the sex of the gender. So when the split cell, now it's coming from one single cell. What is important for us to know is that you just imagine yourself as you're looking at it. How many of you know how cooking, sambar, rasam, idli, dosa, any kind of soup, whatever you do? Everything is different, right? It's coming from a single cell here, but it is not forming the same cell. It says that the single cell goes into a kidney cell, heart cell, muscle cell, liver cell, but it's coming from the same zygote. Single code has come from that single DNA from mother and father. Chromosomes have come from mother and father. All of them a single cell is going to create. How do they separate? How do they know that I'm a liver cell, I'm a kidney cell, what it is happening? I want you to think about it. One cell going to 36, you all know about it. If you have a money of 1,000 rupees to invest and make that into a 1 lakh rupees, or you have $1,000 and you want to make it to $100,000, how much suffering you have to go through? But this is going from one cell to 36 trillion, distributing to every organ differently, different cells. How do they separate? Think about it. It's coming from epigenome. Because people, even with the same identical thing, right? Our DNA is a genetic code. All of us know. We don't have to go with DNA now. But DNA alone is not responsible for the complexities and variations of our body. Epigenetic is the reason. So what epigenetics do it, epigenome does it is, when the zygote is segregating into cells after cells after cells, it knows actually which cell, which gene to turn off and on. It says, okay, you are a liver cell now. I'm going to turn this gene off. I will only put on the one which is required for liver function. Okay, these genes, guys, you go in, these cells go into heart. I'm going to turn on the heart's genes, everything is off. Remember now, without altering the genes, it's not altering the genes at all. Every gene has got the same characteristics. What does it say? I'm going to switch this particular gene on and put it off. So what does it do is epigenome controls the entire actions of the genomes and genes. And epigenome, genes are coming from your parents. Epigenome can be controlled by, again, the same thing. Lifestyle practices, good food, good diet, good exercise, no sedentary life, no infection, no injuries. So you understand the importance of epigenome. So you can control everything with our own actions, right? And then we come to the last aspect of it, which is very, very critical for each of you to know. It's something which, if we do not know, we don't respect our body. How do you get energy? You're sitting and watching this, listening to me. I'm talking to you now. Somebody is making a cup of tea while we are talking. Somebody is making food actually for lunch. Nice biryani. Where the energy comes from? We eat, we all know. We say simply, yeah, because of the food we are eating and oxygen, we are able to get energy. And that is done by mitochondria. Mitochondria has got a lot of functions, right? But one of the most important function of mitochondria is creating energy. We talked about so many things, inflation, homeostasis, immunity and all. They're all okay. But if mitochondria becomes malfunctioning, epigenome and mitochondria, if both of them, they do not do good work, we are going to get into disease, all kind of health problems and die. So mitochondria, we have to ensure that our epigenome and mitochondria are maintained, sustained by our actions. How does mitochondria produce energy? I can tell you one thing. It's a complex. Even if we take 1 week of course, going studying in a biological class, a bioscience class, it is so complex to understand that. There's no single human machine has made some machine like mitochondria. We are not capable of producing some. If scientists and medical scientists and bioscientists have been researching mitochondria for years and years, billions of dollars, they don't even understand why and how this is happening. It's mind-boggling for them. So briefly for us to understand, it takes the glucose from the food we eat, takes oxygen from the air. Remember, air is 100% oxygen. Air has got only 21% oxygen. 78% of the air is nitrogen. Something happened in the lungs, that is a different science on its own. So the air, oxygen is separated from the air, and the glucose is separated from the food. It combines both of them to produce carbon dioxide, which we exhale through the breathing cycle, and water, and then something called ATP, which is energy. Now, the mitochondria does not create energy directly. It causes through the ATP. Don't remember the name. It's called adenosine triphosphate. Just remember ATP. It's very easy to remember, and that is our energy port. One molecule of glucose, just one molecule of glucose, produces 32 ATP molecules. Of course, it produces about 38. Somebody may question me, hey, it's 38, not 32. But the 6 are used for something else, and effectively you get about 32 at the end. And this ATP molecule is the one that's responsible for you to sit now, listen to my talk. It's responsible for me to talking, for us to go and have a nice biryani, digest after that, have a cup of tea. Everything ATP is responsible. If ATP is low, we'll feel very tired, useless, and we just feel sleepy. Now, it's a mind-boggling thing. Why somebody can have a question? Why ATP? Why not energy? Why cannot do glucose directly? The nature evolution is something extraordinary. When I learned about mitochondria and this, my respect for my own body went up like anything. Seriously speaking, I decided I will never abuse my body unnecessarily. You know what happens? Your glucose molecule, the food we eat, is very big in size. All our cells are very, very, very small, very tiny, very, very tiny cells. You can't even write it in the pen, what is the size of your cell. Every cell is so tiny, we have 36 trillion cells in our body. So the molecule of glucose directly cannot enter into all the cells to give them energy. So ATP is very, very small, much smaller than the cell itself. So ATP can go everywhere. You see, beautifully, within the door of the cells, without small doors, windows and doors of the cells, ATP can go inside, give energy. Glucose cannot enter. That is why body has developed a beautiful mechanism to convert glucose into ATP. Seriously, if you understand this, it's an amazing phenomenon. No movies, even Avatar or RRR or Bahubali movie cannot match this. Something extraordinary for us. So another thing, everybody asks a question. Somebody asked me one question about what about energy from fat? Yes, fat is also can be converted to energy. We know triglycerides, right? So what happens is the fat is broken into something and the energy is converted. But what is important for us is the primary source is mitochondria and glucose. Only when glucose is not there, fat will be converted into energy. That is why when you are fasting, now the question, very interesting for you to note. When you do fasting, your glucose availability goes down. But body has to live. You still are working, walking, sleeping, whatever. So the body produces the remaining energy from the fat. That is why you lose weight. So people say when you do not eat too much of carbohydrates, too much of sugar, too much of food, if you fast it, after glucose is drained, the fat is converted into energy. That's why you lose weight. So fat loss. So, but when you start eating again, the fat will go back to sleep and glucose will come back again. Mitochondria will convert glucose into energy. And that is why some people fasting for some time, they lose weight. As soon as they eat normally, they will gain the weight back. This is the reason for that. Then another thing, I don't want to go in here, but when you do a lot of, suddenly you're running now. The child is standing on the road, a car is coming to attack the child. Any mother, nobody will think twice. You run so fast like an Olympic athlete, save the child and run away. That energy comes from a sprint, suddenly a burst of energy. Where does it come? Where does it come from? That energy is coming from respiration, which comes from anaerobic, without oxygen. Because normally when I'm walking and talking and moving, the mitochondria goes to the oxygen reaction and creates energy for you. But suddenly when you're running to rush with a sprint to save a child, that energy cannot come from oxygen. It's a process. So it creates energy without oxygen. And that is what, when you work very hard, you feel a burn, right? I'm feeling burning sensation, man. When I'm doing very hard work or running for a long time, you run for 1 kilometer, you see a burning sensation. That is coming because without oxygen, energy is created. That creates a lactic acid. That acid in the muscle gives a burning feeling. And if we ignore it and continue running, what do you experience? Cramps. You see that, right? Many times we see cramp. Many footballers and sportsmen, athletes, they get a cramp mainly because the lactic acid becomes too high. That is why what happens, why you breathe hard. After running for about 100 meters, you breathe very hard like a dog. Like that. Why? You have to ensure that you have enough oxygen to neutralize the lactic acid. If you don't do that, lactic acid will create a cramp in your body. It is bad for your health. Just imagine now yourself how beautifully the body is constructed. Every action of you has got a meaning behind it. Breathing hard is good for oxygen, remove lactic acid, remove the burning feeling. You become normal again. So, everyone here, we have come to this last part now. So, as you said, mitochondria is extremely important, right? Now we are coming to a very important aspect. This is something I'm away from all the processes now. I'm coming to look at what is diabetes. This is a science. Many people always say diabetes means you go to any doctor, they're all but fundamentally, what is happening is because of mitochondria. If you understand this, I'm telling you, you will not eat sugar and carbohydrates again in your life. You'll stop straight away if you understand this. This is what I wish every diabetic doctor explain. Very important. I have a doctor, very good actually. The one, I am a diabetic, you know that. And when I go to the doctor, he's very good. He talks to me nicely, he explains to me. He doesn't force me to take tablets and all. He tells me to be very careful and all these things. Very nice. He never asked me to go through extensive tests and this and that. It's a very simple, nice doctor I have. And it's a good confidence for me to go to him. But very important, if you understand this, I'm telling you again, please focus on it. You will never eat carbohydrates and glucose. You will not get into diabetes problem. All right. Now, beautifully, you're taking about 6 or 7 idlis, very nice in the morning, or 4 or 5 breads, beautiful white bread used as coming from a granular wheat flour. You eat a bread, white bread or brown bread, whatever, or big pasta with beautiful sweet, janggery, gulab jamun, whatever you want to eat, laddus and all the sweets, or even a beautiful dessert. So your body is full of excess sugar now. What happens now? Look at this picture. Your mouth is eating a lot. Without it, your tasting is superb and you ate so much of carbohydrates and sweets. Immediately, the glucose intake is recognized by your pancreas and creates something life-saving enzyme called insulin. All of us know about insulin, right? It creates insulin immediately in the pancreas. Insulin's biggest job, only one job is to carry the glucose to mitochondria. Takes to mitochondria. When the mitochondria takes this glucose and converts into ATP, we have seen that energy. It's all so good now. But what happens? when the excess carbohydrates or sugar products are taken. This is where we get into diabetes problem. Why? Let's say the excess glucose is there. Pancreas, what to do? They will create more insulin. Immediately they create more insulin. It overwork and create more insulin. So every day you suppose you are eating only 3 idlis and one small sweet. Suddenly on a Diwali day, beautiful festival day, you eat 8 idlis with kurma and chicken curry and then have sweets, laddus and everything. Suddenly the insulin will create a lot more. Pancreas will create a lot of insulin. You will again take it to the mitochondria. But what happens to mitochondria? The mitochondria can only work up to its capacity because mitochondria are required for making energy. If the mitochondria dies because of overwork, we also die. So mitochondria knows that. So what will happen is, hey, you're coming with 100, I can only handle 20. Immediately shuts the door. It's like any club or a movie theater. Tickets are full, man, you can't come inside. My capacity is 400. All the people have come. The movie theater closes the door. Like that, mitochondria will close the door. You got home and you're born with 100 glucose molecules. I can only handle 20 glucose molecules. 80, I'm closing the door out. What happens then? When the door is closed, that is called as insulin resistance. If you go to a doctor, he will tell you your insulin resistance is very high. This is a story. Mitochondria is shutting the door down. Everywhere, in the muscles and liver, in heart and kidney and wherever it is. Everywhere mitochondria will close the door. Now this insulin resistant now, right? That is what leads to diabetes. Now, what will happen now? This glucose is resisted and blocked by mitochondria. What is going to happen now? The insulin has got still a job to do, right? His job is to deposit the glucose somewhere. So the unused balanced glucose is in the bloodstream still. If insulin does not do something, we are going to end up in big problem. So what does insulin does? Beautifully does one more thing. A lot of people don't know this. Insulin stores part of the unused glucose in the liver. Liver will take something, keep the sugar, and then converts the balance into fat. So many people do not understand that insulin converts the carbohydrates and sugar into fat. If we eat too much, that fat goes into places we don't like. Tummy, bottom of tummy, the buttocks, the face, everywhere becomes very big for us. We don't like it. We are not looking handsome. We find it difficult. And that's what happens. Where insulin converts it into a fat. So insulin job is not just to control the sugar. It doesn't control the sugar. It carries the sugar into mitochondria, stores it in the liver, and this happens. You understand this job actually of the sugar level. Now, one question always comes from you. We are talking always about glucose. What about fructose, which is very good? Fructose is another high level of sugar you consume from fruits, fruit juices, smoothies, what we take about in the markets and shopping malls. All these young generations, especially the girls, oh, I have a smoothie. Artificial sweetness for people in diabetics. I don't want the natural sugar. All the syrups, corn syrups and everything, all are fructose. Understand fructose, very important for you. Fructose is the marketing gimmicks for advertisement to make money out of it, destroying people's health. Let's understand the evolution process. Think about it. Close your eyes. When you are born, 1960s or 70s, when you are young, you only had mangoes for 3 months or 4 months a year. It's a seasonal fruit. I have never seen mangoes in the month of December in Tamil Nadu. Similarly, people in Himalayas, for example, don't know what is mango. They know apple, they know grapes, they don't know anything about jackfruit or mango. They are from tropical climates, jackfruit, mango and all. They're not available in cold climates. There is no mango in UK, there's no mango in jackfruit. Queen Elizabeth saw mango for the first time. Somebody brought from India to there in a box. She was zapped because they never seen mango in UK, a cold country. So this is important. That's what we ate, our seasonal fruits. Today, what happened? Beautiful globalization, world trade policy, logistics with refrigeration. Refrigeration was found. A lot of males have a problem in a home refrigeration because rasam is kept for 1 week and sambar is kept for 1 week, we cry. But the refrigeration created a worldwide logistics for vegetables and fruits with some chemicals. So we get everything now. Throughout the year, we eat mango. Throughout the year, we can get banana. Throughout the year, we can get jackfruit, whatever you want to do. And Masa kind of people say, you are always having mango throughout the year. Give it to children. And then you go to an American mother, beautifully, she will have a big one gallon can of orange juice, give everybody. Everything is processed with fructose. And your body, for thousands and thousands of years, does not know what is fructose. It knows glucose, but not fructose. Now we are eating fructose like anything. Because every processed food in the supermarkets, every syrup in the supermarket, everything has got fructose. So we eat so much of fructose now. So what happens? Mitochondria cannot process fructose directly. Please remember that. It is designed for glucose by body for thousands of years. Fructose it cannot process. Fructose must be converted into glucose first. And also only liver predominantly can treat fructose. So what happens? This is a big job for the body. There's an extra step has to be done, which is not processed before. So excess fructose is linked to weight gain, obesity, energy imbalance, metabolic imbalance. A lot of research is still going on. Medical science fully does not know how it affects the metabolic imbalance, but there's a big chance that fructose is one of the reasons for it. But fructose was marketed by food industry to make profit. That is why you go to supermarket now. Please, when you go to supermarket, a lot of people are cheated, wrongly taught, misled. I know I heard people saying that, oh, fructose is better than sugar. Fructose is better than glucose. So look at the label at the supermarket bottle. It's got fructose, no glucose, no sucrose. So fructose is better. The opposite way. Fructose is not good for your body. So that means you can't eat a lot of fruits. Eating fruits is not a good thing for health. Again, to sell an Australian apple or a Kashmiri apple in Nigeria, an Australian apple in US, people have sold the fruits like anything. Fruit have become a major product, but all the fruits have fructose, and you eat 2 mangoes a day, you have so much of fructose, your liver will be affected. So a lot of research was, this is very important for all of you. A lot of research was done and said, people who don't drink alcohol, how they get fatty liver disease and liver problem. It is because of they don't drink alcohol, they eat a lot of fructose and sugar. So liver is over-exercised. So many people get liver fatty diseases and liver related diseases because liver is overworked with fructose and a lot of sugar stored in it. So remember that. A lot of vegetarians, a lot of Brahmins I know, who do not drink alcohol, do not eat meat, but they eat a lot of sweets and fructose, they get liver diseases. So vegetarians cannot happily say, I won't get it. So remember that why non-alcoholic, vegetarian, non-meat eaters getting liver diseases because of this. So medical industry and food industry made sure, pharmaceutical industry and food industry created problem for whether you are alcoholic, non-alcoholic, vegetarian, or a meat eater, everybody goes into pharmacy buy tablets. Remember that. So mitochondria gets damaged, it leads to faster aging. That one thing is clear. You cannot spoil your epigenome and mitochondria. It must be nourished by us. It is our baby. It is in our cells. 36 trillion cells. In every cell, there is a mitochondria. You know what is brown fat? Many of you may hear about it. When you're born, every part of the body will have brown fat. When you die at the age of 70, every part of the body will be white in color. The brown fat will not be there. Diabetes will have a lot of white fat, not brown fat. The brown fat in liver, brown fat in kidney, brown fat in brain, brown fat in heart. That means lot of energetic, vibrant, young, working mitochondria is there. When you are diabetic, you don't have to test clearly only your fasting sugar and postprandial. Go and look at your mitochondria. You will see that in many of the parts, pancreas everywhere, the brown fat will be more of gray or white. It's because mitochondria is less. It's important for us to know. So life practices. So some of you will say now, I am not diabetic, man. Why should I care? Seriously, I'll go for a shock now. How today, all of you know, how you are measuring or diagnosing your diabetic or high cholesterol. Get tablets lifetime. Diabetic, you go fasting sugar, you measure the fasting sugar. They'll give a nice, let's say go and have 2 idlis, or they'll give a 75 ml of beautiful juice. You drink it, and then after 2 hours, take your sugar again, postprandial. Cholesterol, fasting lipid profile. They'll calculate total cholesterol, triglycerides, LDL, HDL. 2 hours after food? No, they don't do for cholesterol. Only for sugar, they do postprandial. Is this adequate? Absolutely no. No means no. No question about it. Why? Whatever you eat today, whatever you take and eat something, even 2 pieces of peanuts or something on the go, I'm going to take a cookie, man. It's one small cookie, butter biscuit with tea, dip it in tea, nicely eat it, or vada, masala vada, whatever. Whatever you eat there, this is what happens, what is there in the graph. Your body goes through this. What is this? When you eat something, when you eat anything, right? Your within 30 minutes to 60 minutes of time, your sugar level will peak. It happens to everybody, whether you are diabetic or not diabetic. Every individual goes through this. Please listen to this very interesting aspect, very important for your life. When you eat something, whatever you eat, rice or chapati or barota or pasta or chicken or mutton, lamb, whatever, depending upon, it will peak to one level. And after about 2 to 3 hours, it comes back to baseline. Right? That's what they do. This baseline is what postprandial, they test it. Similarly, fat will peak around 2 to 4 hours, and after about 6 to 8 hours, it will come to baseline. This is good so far? Okay. Now, what I'm doing is, please go through this with me. Let's say we are eating at 8 o'clock, at 8 p.m. in the night. Okay. And then we don't drink anything except water. We sleep to go to bed around 10:30, get up at about 6 o'clock in the morning. What is happening here? You ate at 8 o'clock in the night. But around 9:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, your sugar will have gone peaked about it and then start coming down. You sleep nicely up to 6 o'clock in the morning. 6 o'clock, you get up. You already fasted for nearly 12 hours now because you ate about 8 o'clock in the night. 6 o'clock, you are waking up. You are fasted for nearly 12 hours. This means both your cholesterol and sugar level have reached the baseline. Now you go to the doctor and measure your fasting sugar and lipid profile, which is at 6 o'clock in the morning. This is the fasting sugar. Because you are fasted in the night, your sugar and cholesterol has come down to the baseline. Right? It's very important that no doctor should allow you to take a lipid profile or fasting sugar without 8 hours of breakfast. That's why many times your nurse will ask you, what time you had food last night? 8 o'clock. Okay, 7 o'clock now. It's okay. It's about 11 hours. It is okay to take sugar. So we tell her that I had a party at 11 o'clock. I ate only at 12 o'clock in the night. She won't take your blood because she should not take your blood for fasting sugar. Because 12 o'clock you ate in the night, 7 o'clock you cannot, only 7 hours. That means your baseline will not be correct. Minimum 8 hours, good is 12 hours. So this is the fasting sugar. Now what they do, you go out, eat at 8 p.m., right? 6 o'clock you sleep, get up and do the fasting. Then you eat at 7:30, 2 idlis or some juice or whatever. 2 hours after that, you go and measure the sugar again at 9:30. And this is the postprandial sugar. This exactly happened. This is what the labs test for your diagnosing sugar. Now, this is a day for you. This is very important for all the non-diabetic, because diabetics already having tablets now, they're already gone. But the non-diabetic saying, I'm not diabetic, I don't care. Listen to this, please. Now, all the non-diabetics should listen to this. All the children have to listen to this. All the parents have to listen to this. Eat breakfast at 7:30. At 9 o'clock, beautiful cookie and coffee, nicely. Then a small snack, samosa or something like that at 10:30 in the morning. And a good lunch at 1 o'clock. Business lunch, office lunch, whatever. And then you have a small snack, whatever it is, some peanuts or something, or chips at 3:30. Then you have a good snack again in the evening at 5:30 with a cookie or tea or whatever it is. Then you eat dinner at 8:30. This is our plan, right? This is what you do every day. Now, what is happening with that time? all the non-diabetic, all the children, look at it. This is what is happening. Every time you eat at 7:30, 9 o'clock, 10:30, 1 o'clock, 3:30, 5:30, and 8 o'clock you eat. 8 times small snacks, coffee, cookie, or whatever it is. And every time is going peak, peak, peak. You never allowed the sugar and the fat to come back to the baseline, body to rest. What happened is your body never came to rest to the baseline. That means all your organs, your pancreas, your kidney, your liver, every organ was continuously working to process the food you have been taking. You're just feeding again and again, again, again. Every 2 hours, something coming into your body. So same thing happened with the fat and cholesterol and things. So ultimately, the body is working like this. Can you imagine this? All the non-diabetic, I'm telling you, you are actually, if you do this is happening. Okay, because your baseline is measured. What the doctors does, just measure the baseline. It is 85 to 100. You are not diabetic. You can do whatever you want. Your postprandial is less than 140. You do whatever you want. But every day, no doctor asks you how many times you eat per day, what you eat per day. If you're 80, I'm telling you, that's one of the biggest curse of the medical industry. If you're 85 to 100, no doctor, if you go to medical checkup, I can challenge you now. You go to a medical checkup to any big hospitals in the world. If your fasting sugar is 85 to 100, the doctor will simply say, your sugar is good. You are past, man. You can do whatever you want. You will not even talk about this particular thing. Never ask. I can challenge you. No doctors in the world, whether it's John Hopkins or Harvard or anybody in the US or UK or Australia or India, nobody asks this. But the problem is many non-diabetics keep eating because they think they're not diabetic, and every one of us go through the cycle. That creates a lot of chronic diseases, not just diabetic, everything else. That is why only fasting and postprandial sugar is totally inadequate to say you have diabetics or not diabetics. You have cholesterol or not cholesterol. It has to be measured continuously for some time. Same with hypertension. Same story I can write about hypertension, but I don't want to take too much of process, so I kept quiet. But hypertension is a very similar issue. They measure the blood pressure early in the morning or whatever time. But again, it also, hypertension exactly goes through the same cycle, up and down, up and down, up and down throughout. Your heartbeat is just going all over the place. Your heart is suffering throughout the day. And this is exactly the issue here. So we have to understand that the current diagnostic method for diabetes, cholesterol, hypertension, they're not adequate. It's not for all. Unfortunately, again, the US guideline today, if you look at it, it says very clearly that if you are 140 and 80 in high blood pressure, you are a hypertension guy. Take tablets, start eating it now. So to grow without aging, what we understood now, we discussed mitochondria, epigenome, homeostasis. We discussed about inflammation. All this aspect, what it comes to, every one of them says that apart from inherited genetics, the way we choose our life is the one which controls our lifespan and health span. So if you biologically age faster and suffer from diseases, pain, medicines, and healthcare, who is the cause for it? God? Nature? Evolution? Parents? Mother? Father? No, it is us. We are responsible. Nobody asked you to go and eat KFC every day. Nobody asked us to eat processed food every day. So what you understand from all this is that food, sleep, and physical exercise, these three things are the most critical to give the body what it needs to live healthy and happy and longer. But why we abuse our body so much? We eat junk food, imbalanced, high sugary foods. I hate when people drink Coca-Cola and Pepsi. It is clearly, I would tell you a story about it for Coke and Pepsi. Seriously, listen to the story. And we sleep poorly, 4 hours, 5 hours, 3 hours a day. Sleeping at 1:30 and getting up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, untimely, inadequately. Sedentary life like a lazy person watching IPL match all the time on a Saturday evening or Sunday. It's a beautiful time to go for a walk, go with the family, go with the wife and happily walk and go for a nice walk and move around, go to a natural place like a beach or something. How beautiful it is. We sit and eat chips and alcohol and Coke and Pepsi and watch IPL match for 3 hours. We are live as a lazy person. Why? Because the body, this beautiful body was given gifted free by the mother, nature, evolution, and God. Just imagine that any of you purchased a small phone or a pen, something like that, very mundane material by your own money. You will be violent to obsessively take care of it. Can anybody drop your phone? You will shout like anything. It's my phone, don't drop it. But your beautiful body, we abuse every day. So, at this point of time, I want to ask Mr. Gopi.
Yes, sir. Go on, sir.
So, this is something very interesting. I've already finished 1.5 hours. I want to know whether we can continue.
Yes, sir. Go on, sir. Go on, sir. Go on, sir. Interesting.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. It's a Sunday and it's going up, and but something very important: food, spices, and sleep. Very important for us to understand. And let us go through it. Give me a minute. I want to take some water. So 1 second. So why we talk so much about food? Why is critical? Food is critical. How does it impact? Food is a huge subject, but I'm going to talk something differently. Food is like a cycle stand management system. I don't know how many of you know cycle stand management system, but in a corporate boardroom, in most of the companies, very high value technical task, $5 million or something, will be approved immediately. But somebody talks about a cycle stand for workers for $30,000, it will go on, argument will go on for hours to take a decision. The reason is that many of the board members, due to lack of understanding of technological aspect, they believe the project leadership at the face value. Go for it. But when it comes to cycle stand, everybody knows about it. The opinions will fly around every corner. You know that. You have seen many times in your boardroom also. Same like food. Food is like a cycle management system. You go to social media, you will have millions of videos and podcasts and blogs. Everybody knows about food. You go to books now, thousands of books on health, diet, and aging and food. And you go to diet, the tens of highly glorified diets everywhere. Are they all valuable? No. Many of them are fake, marketing gimmicks, noise, sponsored or promoted by food industry. So who to believe, what to believe? I can just simply give you a challenge to you. Anybody type in the Google and say, skipping breakfast is good or bad? You will get millions saying good, millions will be saying bad. So who to believe, what to believe then? Simple thing like a skipping breakfast is good or not. There's no answer in Google. There's no answer in medical science itself. So again, I say I'm not against medical science, but the fact is medical research today does not know skipping breakfast is good or bad. That's the truth. So why we have to take tablets and medicines without, there's no truth about it. Nobody knows what it is right. Another problem for us as human beings, always the biggest weakness is we are attracted in the YouTube and podcast by personality and presentation. Have you seen any podcast? The podcast is always beautiful. Any podcast you look at it, all very celebrity, personality, nice presentations. Nobody bothers about content and context. It's all about personality, and that is why we get brainwashed. I'll give a simple example about a thing about food. All of us should know this. Very important. In the 60s and 80s, 40 years back, someone, I know that who is that, I purposely did not put the name of it, declared fat is bad in the US. Low fat or zero fat was recommended. Not by individual, not by one or two guys. Government regulated, including US of A, United States of America. I'll tell you why I put this one. The result, the whole world jumped into high carbohydrates and sugar food. People stopped, even the beautiful coconut oil was stopped. All the good fat was stopped, and people went for high carbohydrates and sugar. There was a huge commercial business behind it. If you remember, if you have interest, go to Google and research. When the corn-based food, a starch-based food, why they grew in the world.
Trillions of dollars of corn-based, starch-based food went up in the world after this. People created big money from corn and maize and starch-based foods. Brilliant food industry model. But what happened? In less than 20 years, there was an explosion of obesity, diabetes, and hypertension. In 60s and 70s, you don't see much of obesity at all. Only after this recommendation came in, when everybody went for low fat, high carbohydrates, and high sugar diet, obesity, diabetes, and hypertension increased. So who benefited? The food industry, pharmaceutical, and healthcare. And what about the people? They were declared as patients. They went to medicines before breakfast, after food, before food, lifelong. That's what we went. What's the paradox? Why it happens? I tell you this one, it's very important. All of you here, there are whatever number of people are here now, ask a question. A survey done, if I tell you, as per this survey done in UK or US, as per the clinical trial done in the UK or the US, immediately everybody will get attracted and believe it also. No one cares if I say, as per a trial done in India or Kenya, you all lose your health. I mean, what is this? Kenya, India? No. US, UK, you accept it. So everybody, every food industry, every doctor comes up and say, as per a survey done in the US, and every clinical trial is meaningless. Because most of the clinical trials are sponsored and promoted by food industry and pharmaceuticals. Most of them. And many doctors are controlled by the medical representatives of the pharmaceutical industry. Many doctors just prescribe. It's a big scam. Doctors are given European tours and massage in Thailand, everywhere to sell products. So pharmaceutical industries give a huge bribe to doctors to prescribe tablets. It's all sponsored. Read the fine print. Especially the criteria used. Look at all the clinical trials. Somebody comes and tells you, as per the clinical trial made with 1,000 people, question them. What's the criteria used? You will find it is all joke. I'm telling you, simple. So I need a true story. For confidentiality, I have masked the real. It's very interesting for you to know. One of my friend is the regional head of a software drink in the Far East, very famous software drink. So while having a drink, I asked him, hey, almost everyone knows that this drink is bad. It's sugary, toxic, and bad for health. So how do you still manage, get business, revenue, and profits worldwide? He simply laughed and said, do you really want to know? I said, yes. He said, it was about 6 to 7 years back. He said, Kumar, there are 7 billion people in this world. Let's exclude children and very old people. The balance about 5.6 billion. Let's exclude all the students and the retired people also. About 4 billion is. Consider only people who can spend money on their own. That means without asking for somebody else, they can spend money. About 2.4 billion in the world. He said, like you, I'm removing all the intellectuals, all the people who are knowledgeable. I'm going to take everybody out, about 1.4 billion. What is left is about 1 billion people. Out of the 1 billion people, we are only looking at 10%. They are the gullibles of the world, the foolish people of the world. They will listen to anything what people say. That 10%, 100 million people, that is what our target is. Every day, we are looking at 100 million people drinking our drink. This all 100, we all know that the 100 million people are stupid, gullible, foolish people. We are happy about it because we want those people. So if you are a highly sugar software drinker, this is what those companies think about you. He told me that you go to World Health Organization, you go to the International Court of Justice in Netherlands, do whatever you want, go against us, bring 90% of the people along with you. We don't care about the 90%. We are talking about 1% gullible in the world. It's easy to get. Same thing smartphone people do. How can, just imagine, how can every year all the smartphone companies give a new version. They know there's a 10 million gullibles are available. They'll keep on buying every new version. Simple. So he then said, who cares about the remaining 6.9 billion people? This is our marketing strategy, is to find those gullible, stupid people who will drink and eat whatever we are telling them. And I said, this is how every industry does it. It's not just software, junk food, everything does it. You go to airport now, or you go to any place, food mall, any food court in the malls, there are beautiful, nice, healthy food is there. And then there's beautiful junk food there. Where's the crowd is high? In the junk food, you know that. I don't have to tell about it. Even children go to junk food. Parents recommend, encourage children to have junk food. They can't stop them. That's what happens, right? So one question for you. I'm not answering here. Why do we all experience an ecstasy beautifully when you have a beautiful chocolate bar like a Snicker or a Marsh? I don't know how many of you know this. This is again a marketing gimmick. Why the sugar and some ice creams melt? You become addicted to that and keep eating, drinking out. It's just sugar, it is. Nothing is there. One bar of Marsh or Snicker or chocolate has got 35 to 40 grams of sugar. And 1 tablespoon is 4 grams of sugar. It has got 9 tablespoons of sugar in the chocolate. Will you eat 9 tablespoons of sugar in that every day? But you eat your chocolate. But how they make you addicted for it? Some of the chocolate bars are making $1 billion business for the last 60 years in the world. And all sugar, nothing else is there. I'll tell you what it is. What is our body temperature? 37 degrees centigrade. All the chocolates, the bars, their boiling point, the melting point is 37 degrees. Because of that, as soon as you keep a chocolate in the mouth, your 37 degrees in your body heats that milk, that chocolate to 37 degrees, it melts. When it's melting, oh, you feel like that. You look at beautiful chocolate advertisement, the girl takes the chocolate, she melts all spilling over her stomach and kisses the boy. And the boys keep on buying girls' chocolates. This exactly happened. It's a melting point. It's a boiling point and sugary material. So that's what he said. We are looking for these gullibles to eat all this. So if you take all the conflicting recommendations of the world of social media, so either you keep eating all the fat and carbs and proteins or you don't eat anything at all. So what happens? What is the right thing to do? The right approach with all the things to ensure that you have an engineering approach of, as I told you earlier, fundamentals of food. What are the foundational principles? I'm not going to give any recommendations here, but very important that food is divided into only 4 major ones: carbohydrates, fats, proteins, and fiber. That's all. Sugar and vitamins are coming along with the food you are selecting to eat. Sugar is also coming in desserts and chocolates and whatever, you know that. So what is needed for a good life is very simple. Have the right mix of all the 4. It's not rocket science. It's very used to say what is the right mix, but what is the right combination? It's the biggest challenge because we crave, we are misled, we have very poorly constructed belief because of religion and caste and whatever, tribe, and myths. We believe in celebrities and personalities, our biggest weakness. Just imagine someone is good at cricket, somebody good at football, somebody good at movies. We automatically think that he knows everything about food. He knows what to eat, he knows what buy, including toilet cleaners. Some big movie celebrities go and sell the toilet cleaners. They don't even need to see a toilet. That's important. But they sell toilet cleaners. We buy immediately because of that. Today I was seeing an advertisement in YouTube. One big actor comes for selling Tide. He doesn't know, I don't know even what does washing machine, but this is what happens. We believe that. So one thing I want to finish with the food is that every individual, all the 8 billion people today is completely different. Not everybody is same. It's meaningless to follow your diet because my sister is following that. My mother told me that. My friend has lost 5 kgs. Stay away from anyone who says it worked for me. And that she or he is not you. Your body, your gut, your anatomy is completely different from everybody else. Even your own mother, even your twin. If you're a twin, you are not the same. Remember. So remember, food is to create energy, to supply nutrients, and 9 amino. This is a very important point I want to talk about. This is everybody should know. I'm very surprised that many food books never touch this topic. I read nearly 570 food books to write this. Out of the 570, 569 never talked about this. I was so surprised. I was very angry with that. It's very important to people to know. We need 9 amino acids. We need 20 amino acids to live healthy because amino acids are the fundamentals to building blocks of proteins in our body. But we only produce 11 of them. We need remaining 9 coming from the food we eat. These 9 are called the amino acids. If amino acids are not there, you won't be able to build proteins in your body. This is a big challenge. Why? Only animal protein, like beef or chicken or fish or egg, has all these 9 amino acids. Non-meat vegetables, any vegetable, nuts and grains, they have some of them, not all of them. Tomato may have 1 or 2, cauliflower may have 1 or 2, beans will have 1 or 2, the legumes and grains like dals and pulses may have 1 or 2. So to get all the 9, what do you have to do? You have to eat a variety of vegetables, variety of nuts and grains. A lot of vegetarian people have problem with amino acids. We always say, I am a vegetarian, I am a vegan. Yeah, good. But are you getting all the 9 essential amino acids for your building block? If you do not, then you have to eat variety of vegetables who gives all the amino acids. How many of us know which amino acids got in cauliflower or beans, in legume or sambar or rasam or something? Remember, if you don't get good amino acids, all the 9 of them, you will have a problem in your body. So remember that diet is not just reduce the weight. People always have this problem. Diet means reducing weight. No, it is for a holistic, balanced health condition. Because you remember, we are alive because of the homeostasis, and we have to do this. The right food helps the homeostasis. You are balanced, you live a good life. Junk, inappropriate food creates always stress, make the body to suffer. Your job is to lower the entropy and increase the energy. So I'm going to complete this. So please ensure that you follow. I'm just giving you something about I don't want to go through it. There are so many diets. I just listed here 11. Every one of them is different. Every one of them is different. I can forward this email to you. Look at it. Actually, you can also find it from Google. There's nothing easy to find. Every one of them is different. So what is right to follow? Please, by sincere recommendation, do not follow just because somebody says, I am this country's heart association, this country's diabetic foundation, this is my government guideline, this scientists are declared, don't follow it. Because I'm telling you, let's say a country like America or something, if they put the name before, they are not government forums or organizations. They use the name. That's all. They are all sponsored by food industry and pharmaceutical industry. They do whatever they want to do. Just choose the right book. Make sure that you don't become a gullible by this marketing strategy. Watch out. So you have to understand what you need to do. It's very easy to understand. Talk to a good nutrition and very important. But one thing I want to talk about again, medical. As per a 2021 report, a survey of 127 US and UK medical colleges. The report was made by doctors only. You can get it in the YouTube, Google, everywhere. It says that nutrition is only 11 hours in the curriculum in the entire 4 years of medical degree and internship, 1.5 years. And even that 11 hours, more than 50% is about culinary classes, cooking classes. So doctors may not have expertise on the right nutrition because they only study for less than 10 hours in their entire curriculum of 4.5 years. It's very important for you to know. One final word. It's not true that good and healthy food is not delicious. Junk food is an addiction, but right food is always good for health. But we can have a fantastic food. Our grandmas know about it. Our mother knows about it. Caring wives know about it. Here I want to say something about Indian mothers. I don't know about people from other countries who are here in this call, but I would say something. You take a beautiful American mother in the movies or in the advertisement. What does she do? She takes the white bread or a brown bread, which is just a meaningless flour full of carbohydrates. She toasted the toasted machine. It open up a shelf and takes a cereal like something and puts the cereal in a bowl, opens the fridge, take a cold milk and put that in the thing. And then she takes up a big 1 can of orange juice, which is processed, and pours it up. This is the breakfast. The total, all the four of them are useless, unhealthy food. Look at our mothers. I'm telling you, my wife, my mother, and everybody, one of you, every Indian mother, grandmas, hats off to them. What they do? Get about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, make good spices, good food, good dosa, good idli, good paratha, good vegetables. They make everything, all the spices of the world. They connect it, make it nicely, ensuring that the children and the husband and everybody gets a good food in the morning, lunch and dinner. India is called land of spices. We use about 24 to 30 spices in every food we make, every one of them. It takes so much of care to do it. The same thing happens in Southern Hemisphere. Even Africa is the same. So remember, Northern Hemisphere, they never knew what is spice. Britishers never knew what is spice before they came to India and took the cardamom and pepper and cumin from here to the UK, Netherlands and Portugal. In fact, Britishers conquered India only for spices, not for anything else. This is a big story. I can tell you a lot about it. So they don't know anything about spices, even today. They eat it for taste. But our Ayurveda, Indian Ayurveda, and other lot of things, many of the African communities, many of the tribal communities, they knew this is for health. They use spices beautifully. So please, very important now we go to spices. Spices, all of you know, but very important, quickly speaking about, the spices have beautiful flavors. You know what is the flavor of the spice? It is the chemical to defend the plant from predators eating them. It may not be harming humans, but for animal world, insect world, the flavors for the spices are very harmful. It is a defensive mechanism. So that is why you look at pepper, it's got something called pepperine. It is very hot and spicy when you put it in a stomach, mouth. It is repellent to all the insects. Turmeric has got something called cineol, which has got a very, very bitter taste. No animal will eat it. Cinnamon has got something called caryophyllene, which is going to signal beautiful aromatic. Cinnamon is beautiful smell, right? It sends an aromatic signal to all the things when it's eaten. When the animal is eating cinnamon, it will create an aromatic signal. All the other plants nearby immediately will start producing defensive chemicals on them so that the animals won't eat it. So every species, there are more than 130 to 140 different type of species, and every spice will have a different flavor because of that. All right. Another important thing, when you are eating a spice, your tongue is not realizing the flavor of the spice. What is happening is, through your throat, that spice will vaporize inside, not outside. Inside the throat, it will go into the nose. That nose actually is smelling the flavor. And it tells the brain that this is a beautiful, flavory, nice food. The spices actually are added for taste and health and flavor. But why I want to put this point is, in restaurants and hotels, any commercial establishment, they only add spices for taste. That's why they can make people addicted. So more and more you eat in restaurants, hotels, and fast food, junk food, the spices are for taste, not for at all health. Again, our home food, made by caring mothers and caring women, that's where you get the beautiful, healthy spices. So, and what is the importance of spices? Many of you don't know. The spices actually improve digestion, improve the gut health, improve anti-inflammatory properties. They reduces the chronic inflammation, moods and emotions, nutrients, enhance immunity. They create a beautiful body's adaptive immune system. We read about it. So use the spices very brilliantly. We'll have a very healthy life. All right. A lot of spices, everything is there, but I don't want to take it up further now. We can talk about it later in another class. And last point is the sleep. Why do you sleep? It's very, very important for us to know. We sleep 8 hours a day. In 80 years of life, we sleep nearly 26 years. Wow. It's not too much to waste. 26 years of my life, I'm going to sleep, but I can't do anything. I can do something constructive work, man. I can't do anything. I can't even socialize. What I'm going to do for it? So people sleep less today. Many, not for constructive work. They watch social media, movies and TV or chat, bought parties. They go to bed very late and sleep for 4 to 6 hours a day. The truth is different. Sleep is the evolution's best process to design to keep us alive and healthy. It's a fundamental, vital, and essential requirement. Sleep is the only thing every organ in our body, every cell, every organ, every function of the body will benefited from. Our body actually heals, controls, and regulates the metabolism when you are asleep. So cutting and omitting sleep is the worst thing you can do against your health. Because we sleep is called circadian rhythm, it's very important for understanding. Very simply, this is a graph. I know everybody will just take back and say after 1.5 hours of discussion, you're bringing a graph like this. But sleep pattern comes from this too. One is called our natural biological clock. Other one is called a chemical called adenosine called sleep pressure. I don't want to take it up further. I'm just simply saying that when you get up in the morning at 6 o'clock, your biological clock will start. At about 12 to 14 hours of time, it will make you tired and make you sleep. It's a very simple thing. That's what happened. It works because of the light. You have to remember that for 20,000, 30,000 years, our ancestors never see light in the night after sunset. So at sunset, exactly between your eyebrows, you remember some of the yogic meditation technique, they say, center of the eyebrows, you focus your mind for meditation, right? That is because the optical nerves are joining there. That optical nerve is joining and it actually visualizes the light. When it becomes sunset, the optical nerve between these two eyes will go in and join there, and it'll recognize this darkness is coming. Just above that optical nerve junction is a biological clock. It's called, I can't even pronounce it, suprachiasmatic nucleus. Let's forget about it. It's a biological clock. And that one signals there is a darkness coming, immediately says the brain that it's time to sleep now. That's how we slept. For 30,000 years, we slept like that. Suddenly, last 30 years, everywhere, white, bright lights in the nighttime. We sleep at 1 o'clock, putting the lights on. What happened? Our biological clock is disturbed now. Hey, guy, 30,000 years I was working like this. Suddenly, these guys are not allowing me everywhere light. 24 hours, there's light. What I'm supposed to do? Even people sleep with the lights on. That is very important, actually. Biology, it works from a biological light. Second is called adenosine. It's a chemical. It actually builds up from the time you are awake until you go to sleep. It builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up. At some point of time, it'll tell you that it's time to sleep, and you sleep actually. It's called sleep pressure. So the whole body has made two things. One is circadian, one is based on this process biological clock. And in case you omit like what you're doing right now, body knows about it.
Like past age.
I'll put the sleep pressure and make you sleep. All right. So this is what's happening here. So importantly I don't want to go through each and every aspect of it because of time. But if you do not sleep well, you're going to get insomnia, fatigue, emotional issues. You won't be able to really be very good in emotional management. You may make accidents and errors, and health issues will come. Do not create an addiction. So this is how it happens here. I don't want to go through this. There's a very deep science into it. But please sleep for at least 7 to 8 hours a day. And if you don't sleep, you're going to have all the health problems you're going to have. So sleep well for a good, vibrant, joyful life. Sleep is not a waste of time. It will make you effective, constructive, and full of positive energy. And that's all I have now. So please, sorry about taking extra time, but I'm open for questions.
High spot.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much for that awesome session, sir. So we'll keep the floor open for question answers now. Participants, you may please unmute and ask your questions. Yeah, Kundan, you had a question. Please go on.
Okay. First of all, Muthukumar sir, thank you very much for such a wonderful, very beautiful presentation. You have really, I would say, have really engineered, okay, the body, the human body, and as well as I would say you have really doctored the engineering aspect of the body, right? So, my name is Kundan Kanan. I'm from Panama. I'm stationed in Panama, but I'm from Chennai. And I have a question, sir, on the memory loss. And the straight question is, why and how, say, at the age of 74 or 75, I'm indicating towards an elderly person, okay, male or a female, generally male, okay, is it because of the family pressure or family expectation the memory loss can be artificially created? Is it so? For example, a male, a gentleman, he's saying, I am forgetting these days. So the near and dear ones close to that male says, you are suffering memory loss. You are becoming senile, or you are becoming, it is an initial stage of Alzheimer's, and so forth, by scaring that person. So in nutshell, the question is this aspect of memory loss, okay, is being brought in forcibly by the members of the family close to you? This is my question.
Very, very interesting, sir. Beautiful question, actually. Very important, actually. It happens a lot, actually. In fact, there's also a lot of jokes about it. If you look at this brain function, this here, basically what is happening, apart from psychological aspect from the family side of it, and very interestingly, people, apart from shrinking the brain by not creating brain activities at the age of 50, seriously speaking, most of the people around the age of 60 stops the brain functioning. They become retired, or they think that they're already 60 years, they can't do anything, and they do it. And if you have some time, I can tell you something. The evolution created something for us. Our body is to keep reproducing. That's what. So why women have a lot of problem after menopause, simply speaking, is that they cannot reproduce. From nature's perspective, nature does not care a woman is a chairwoman or a doctor or a scientist or anything. As far as nature is concerned, that a woman has done her job, she cannot reproduce, so she's ready to die. So nature stops it. So, but the same thing happens with the men. The testosterone levels start dropping down, and when they cannot create sperm to make production, our nature is concerned, he has done his job, he's ready to die. So, but what happens is that what happened. People died at the age of 40 and 50 and 55 before, nothing. So there was no problem. But now we are living up to the age of 80 and 90 because of various reasons. But then our testosterone levels are stopped at around 60 years of age. Women's menopause is coming around 45 to 48. Both of us, as far as nature is concerned, not fit to live actually, but we are living against nature by various things. And that is one of the reasons for us to involve ourselves, not to shrink our brain, engage in physical exercise and activities to ensure, to tell the body that, hey, I am not active in reproducing, but I'm acting to give stress to the body to ensure that my body is live longer. And to answer your question, psychologically, you are absolutely right. We want to forget ourselves. We don't want to get into our religion is one of the major reasons, sir, for this. What they say is, you forget the past, you forget everything, you forgive and this and that and karma and all these things. Around the age of 60, we really get fear in our mind. One of the major science study was done, again, according to a survey carried out in the US to make it happy. What I'm saying is, the study says that very clearly, people get a fear about karma. What is going to be my next birth? What I'm going to be when I die? So this fear creates a psychological stress. They stop working on the brain. Many people don't do that. And at the same time, the family members use the psychological aspects to, they think they're helping this person, saying that you're forgetting or memory loss. Instead of trying to help him to grow the brain back, they accept it as a factor. Because that is exactly the reason, sir. Psychologically, you are absolutely right. The family members, they don't feel or mean any harm, but they think they're helping the older person. Say, yeah, start with memory loss, so don't bother about it. We understand you. Don't be concerned about it. Read some books, go to some lecture, read Bhagavad Gita, read Ramayana. They leave it like this and leave it like that. But instead, if they engage properly to brain stimulation, keep the brain open, like the slide I got it in the slide here, actually you can come out of the memory loss. You can live less memory loss and live a longer life. We choose to forget our life and move forward. So that's what happens, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
So you talked about the sugar levels peaking consistently during the day. Basically, the way we eat throughout the day. So in earlier days, I think people used to eat 3 meals, maybe 2 meals, large meals, and one snack kind of thing before. But there have been talks of having smaller meals during the day. All these things come and go. So what's the right way to eat? Right now, for example, I don't eat generally anything after 7 to morning 9. I don't eat, but
Okay.
in between I do eat. So what's the right way to go about it?
This is very interesting, sir. Actually, the good question, because basically what we need to do is that you get like 7 to 9 is good. People do 16 hours, 8 hours, that 16, 8, the 8 hours they eat whatever they want to eat. 16 hours they go for fasting is a very common phenomenon today. But whatever you eat, you have to eat products, food, which does not spike your sugar very high level. That is important. Mainly, for example, what people do? They eat a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of sugary products. When you do this, the peak goes very high. But you have a lot of nuts and protein-based foods or fat-based foods, and combination of a good food, a snack also. Instead of taking a cookie is full of carbohydrates and sugar. It is going to peak. Instead of taking a cookie or thing, you can have almond nuts. But people it's not a tasty thing. It's so boring to eat almond nuts. So what happens? You have to make a tasty snack, which has got less carbohydrates, less sugary thing, then your peak will happen, but that peak will come down. So no medical science says you should stop eating for the 8 hours or whatever time you're eating, but eat good food which will not peak very high peaks. Keep the spike smaller spike. That's what we should do, sir. So you can have the main food, eat whatever you like, but the in between snacks, eat only good, healthy, low carbohydrates, low sugary snacks. Then you are okay.
Thank you. Also, another thing that you talked about, vegetarians not being able to get the 9 amino acids or something like that, right? So
Yes, sir.
I see these days B12, vitamin D, all these common deficiencies. So what are the things that we can do if someone is a vegetarian to avoid some of the things you talked about? Any specific food.
The challenge in the food is that the quantity of what we have to eat and the variety of the food is very high for vegetarians. That is why, for example, you eat 100 grams of chicken or a meat, you get all your amino acids. There's no problem for us. But the 100 grams of a cauliflower, 100 grams of beans is not enough for you at all because they don't have all the 9 amino acids. So if you look at what are the things it has got, it is a variety of food. You have to have tomato, onion. That is why our Indian cooking system, if you look at it, they have tomatoes, onions, ginger, garlic, and beans or cauliflower, or 2-3 vegetables. You have to have that variety. Dal, sambar, rasam. When you have every one of them, it is combined is good enough for you. As long as you have variety of food, variety of vegetables, and with good quantity, it is very good, sir. As again, the same thing, you have to reduce the starch-based rice and carbohydrates food, increase your vegetable content, variety of vegetables. The salads are excellent because a combination of a lot of vegetables in a salad, it's a very, very good one to do. So that is what we have to do. Eat as much of, if you're not having, egg is very good one. If you don't want to eat egg, then best to go for variety of vegetables, quantity of vegetables, reduce your intake of rice and carbohydrates. That's what we should do. That's the only option available to us.
Thank you.
Kumar, can I make a comment out here?
Yes, please, sir. Please.
Okay. So I'm Rakesh Jain out here, and I know Kumar for many, many years. And
thank you, Rakesh.
What he has done, obviously, in this 1 year is remarkable. This is just 1 year. And Kumar, I don't know, I wish you all the best in terms of what all you'll be able to accomplish, as you said, with perseverance in this very important concept about longevity. But one or two things. So Peter Attia in his book has spoken about, and I'm picking up from Mr. Kannan's earlier query, he's called these 4 diseases of the old age as the horseman diseases, and which is your Alzheimer, the cancer, the heart, the cardiovascular, and the 4th is type 2 diabetes.
Mhm.
So I think we all know how much of struggle is there, and many of us around this forum do face many of these issues within our families, and we are not able to really understand how they happen in the first place, and then the treatment part. You have mentioned about so much of papers being written. There are so many opinions. The whole pharmaceutical world is very, very commercialized. So is creating data-driven evidence, is it going to be one of your pillars of supporting many of the observations and many of the hypotheses which you have tabled? And I apologize, I've been intermittent into this conversation, but is data-driven evidence, which is really in short supply, because data is bought out by the pharmaceutical companies, how does one create an independent body of data which is unbiased and which really supports some of these critical observations? That's what I wanted to just share.
Oh, thank you very much, Rakesh. Very interesting, actually. And as you correctly pointed out, data is the authenticity of the data is the biggest challenge today in the medical industry and the health industry. And most of the clinical trials are sponsored by pharmaceutical and food industry. And many of the doctors, look at even a lot of doctors who write a lot of books about it. If you at the end, if you look at it, they have a skin in the game. They have their own products or healthcare specialization, hospitals. So they promote at the end of the day. So very difficult for us to identify what is the real authentic data or a clinical trial coming in. And I can give a lot of examples of clinical trial of even 20,000 people or 30,000 people. But if you look at the criteria used and what they have done for the clinical trials, you will immediately know that it is just a waste of time looking at any further, because very critical aspects are never been asked or introduced or checked or audited. So what is the only way to do is you understand your body. My only thing is how do you do a complex model? You understand your body well. We are now covered with the complete amount of noise everywhere. We are covered with so much in our mind that we do not observe our own body. So basically, if we can observe body and we very closely with what is happening and follow the right lifestyle practices, I think you can easily come out of it. And I've been doing a lot of experiment. I discarded almost every clinical trial and recommendation. I created my own thing. For example, last 1 year, I created my own exercise pattern. I created my own yoga pattern. I created my own pranayama pattern. I did not follow any of the pranayama recommendations from YouTube, anything. I studied about pranayama. I went into Patanjali's Yoga Sutras and Thirumandram's Ashtanga Yoga model. I read about 20, 30 books of it. So I developed my own pranayama. And then I'm practicing and see whether it is helping me or not. So this is what I'm doing right now. So it's very important that every human body is different. One thing I understood. So even if I have data from 20,000 people, from let's say US or UK, I cannot apply to somebody in India or Africa. So it's very important. Even within a family, one sibling's human body's data is not suitable for the another sibling within the family. So how do you arrive at data? For human health, what I understand is that every human being, including a twin, even a sibling is different. So you have to read your own thing. So I am doing an experiment as the second set is that my own pranayama, my own Ashtanga yoga, my exercise, my yoga metrics, my diet, my own masala and spices. I am trying to experiment it now and then see whether I'm able to change something. So I'm having about 20 or 30 different parameters I want to measure. So I identified and purchased as much I can measure at home. Now you can even get cholesterol, LDL, HDL at home. Machines are available. So I'm trying to measure it and keep a record of it and see what is going to happen in 1 year time. And I want to publish that
based on my own experiment 1 year from today. And that is what I'm trying. That's what we have to do, I think, Rakesh.
Sir, one
Hello.
last question from me,
Yes.
if you can, if you will allow.
Go on, Guru.
Sir, on this cholesterol stuff, generally, a lot of people having problem. And one of the thing is this HDL. Is it HDL? Yeah. LDL, SDL. The one that's very low, like it has to be 40. I think it's HDL. HDL, right? Yeah. So generally, with exercise, it doesn't go that high. I was recommended this Karuppu Kavani rice by somebody when I actually took it, rose from 28 to 40. So do you have any such, anything that would improve the good cholesterol? Typically, that's, controlling bad cholesterol is, in our hand. If you don't eat all the junk and other things or minimize rice, all that, it happens. But improving good cholesterol is a problem generally. And I found a little bit of, I have to test actually actually in the last 6 months, I have not been eating as much that black rice as I used to before to see if there is a dip. But, do you have any, are you aware of this Karuppu Kavani rice, or are there other things that you can suggest that would improve good cholesterol?
Okay, thank you, sir. We will go into the actual specifics of a particular food items or materials available. But what is important to understand is that generally, as per the available research, also Rakesh asked this question about data. Based on available research on various surveys and trials, what is understood and identified is that fasting actually helps you to make a good cholesterol, reduce the bad cholesterol. But the most important thing is that any food you eat, whichever food you eat, there is no specific food which is going to change our model. Very important that you create a balanced food with respect to do not eat too much of sugar and high level of carbohydrates. As we discussed earlier, insulin can convert the excess sugar into fat. It's not that when you eat cheese and dairy or any kind of red meat, only you will get fat. High level of carbohydrates and sugars also can be converted into fat. But the challenge is that the many LDL measurement today is happening on the lab is wrong. That's the problem. What you're measuring as 28 40 is not the right information. The challenge is that what is important is your LDL particle sizes. The particle sizes are very important. Since most of your engineers, the LDL comes from what is the particle is small or high? For example, I'm saying 40, let's say. This 40 is coming from low number of large size particles or high number of small size particles. That is what they're not measuring now. There's a measurement. You can go to a lab and ask them to measure it, they give it to you. But the doctors who measure it, labs do it, they don't do it unless you ask for it. So what is important is you have large size cholesterol, smaller quantity that gives what, even if it gives you 50, it's still safe for you. Numbers are not valuable. That 40 has no meaning anymore. It is important is particle size. If I have 40 or 50, but I have a large particle size with smaller quantity, it is safer because it doesn't clog. It's very simple. If you have very lot of smaller particles and too much quantities for the 50, it will clog. That is why creating this problem of your blood vessels and everything. So today, the cholesterol definition is not just the number of LDL or HDL. It also includes the size of the particles of the cholesterol and the quantity of it. So please, this time, when you do this, apart from the good food, when you go to a lab, don't ask them to give the number of LDL number 40 or 28 or HDL number, HDL LDL ratio. Ask them to give the size of the cholesterol particle sizes and the quantity. That will save you, sir. That is the best way to do. That's the right way of doing the current modern medicine, advanced sciences.
Sir, may I ask one question?
Yeah.
Actually, I am vegetarian and I have this B12 deficiency also because of vegan food. And you mentioned that egg is a good food. So eating egg along with in any form along with the yellow portion, one egg a day, is it going to to be harmful for the body?
Egg is a good food. If you can eat egg, egg has got
Yeah.
a again, there are two. I'll tell you about this vegetarians having a problem with eggs, right? Very important to understand this. There's an issue to understand. There is when you buy a egg from the market, right? There's something
Hmm.
called fertilized egg and unfertilized egg.
Okay.
So most of the farmhouses by egg from chicken, it's a fertilized egg. In the olden days, one
Yeah.
egg, chicken will put only one egg per month for 30 days or
Hmm.
maximum, right? Egg is nothing but ovulation. At the end of an ovulation period, women, what they do, they have this menstrual cycle, they release it as blood. But
Hmm.
the chicken, what does it do? At the end of the ovulation period, she drops the egg. Now that egg is unfertilized. But
Hmm.
for example, if the male hen, whatever, it actually has the copulation, then that becomes a fertilized egg. So most of the people, when they say the egg is a non-vegetarian, they meant it as a fertilized egg. So if you eat a fertilized egg, actually there's a life inside that egg. So that is
Hmm.
vegetarian. But
Okay.
if the egg is unfertilized, then it's okay. So if you look at the most of the broiler eggs today, the
Hmm.
chicken is not allowed to meet the male at all at any point of
Hmm.
time. It is
Correct.
always without any kind of a sex between two hens. So that is
Yeah.
all fertilized egg. There's no
Yeah.
life inside it. So that egg is actually can be considered as a vegetarian. It's not, I'm not promoting that, but in science, that is what. From a science perspective, there is no life in this unfertilized egg.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
so that is one thing we can remove from a mind that, oh, I'm eating a non-vegetarian or egg is good or not. So that is
Hmm.
one. Second thing is when egg has got all the amino acids, most of them at least, and it's a complete protein food, and it's
Hmm.
very good for health. Having one egg per day, including the yellow, unless you have a very high fat cholesterol, which will help your cardiovascular conditions, having one egg is not bad at all. In fact, with the
Okay.
egg, you can add up yogurt. If your cholesterol levels are comfortable, you can have some kind of a cheese and thing. Have very nice food actually, instead of going through everything out. So egg is good, sir. One egg,
Okay.
unless you have a problem with already having high cholesterol and fat or heart problems, you have to check with a physician. But in general, as a food, egg is a very balanced food.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
So I have a question, if I'm allowed to ask.
Please,
Can
ma'am.
I?
Please.
Yeah.
Go on, Anita.
Okay. Yeah, two things. One is I want clarification about dairy products. There's a lot of hype nowadays saying that we should not have dairy products at all, milk, curd, etc. So that's one point. Second is about fruits. Since you mentioned it's got a lot of fructose, so should we or should we not consume fruits?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam, the first question about milk, what did you say? I couldn't hear you properly that time.
There's a lot of hype nowadays that dairy products should be avoided. So, what
That's
is the take on that?
very
What
good
should
one, ma'am.
we
Actually,
do
it was
actually?
actually came from the 1960s and 1980s. I was talking about a white fat, low fat product. Actually. So dairy became a problem. And then the skimmed milk became a huge commercial for food industry. So basically, there is, unless you are suffering from allergy to the milk, and then many of the human beings are lactose resistant, as you know. So unless if you have a lactose resistant, you cannot digest the protein which is in the milk. So if you don't have these two issues, if you don't have lactose resistance, and if you don't have any allergy for some of the products in the milk, having dairy products is not a problem at all as per the current science. But again, you have to look at it's a saturated fat. Milk has got saturated fat. It's much better than the skin fat. What happens? How they make the skinned fat, ma'am? The skinned milk is manufactured. They process the milk, and then the fat floats on the surface. Then skip off that fat in the manufacturing plant and use the skim milk. So what happens along with the fat? All the good minerals and all the good vitamins of the milk is also removed. So when you have a skinned milk that has got less fat, but they don't, what they do not advertise it, what are the minerals and vitamins it has been removed from it. The skim milk actually is not good for health because it is not a complete milk. Full fat milk has got everything there. As I said, if you do not have lactose resistance or you have no problem for digesting the protein of the milk and you have no allergy, eating moderate levels of milk is extremely good. There is no problem at all. That is the latest science. And secondly, dairy products like cheese and everything are fermented. See, all the milk products, when they're fermented, whether it is yogurt, is probiotic. Any fermented milk products is very good for health. In fact, somebody asked about a vegetarian. What they recommend is any fermented product. Cheese is a fermented product. Yogurt is a fermented product. It is coming from dairy. That can be eaten medically. They are very good for eating. Again, you have to look at your own health conditions. How much of cheese I can eat? If you already have very high cholesterol, you control it based on that. Because saturated fat, you have to control based on your cholesterol and fat level. If your body allows it, you can eat as to that level your body is permitting to do it. But having milk is a good one, ma'am. That's not a problem at all. It was wrongly misled by the guidelines of low-fat food.
Okay, thank you, sir. And what about fruits?
Fruit, basically, what the problem is, our liver cannot process. Okay, again, is the number coming from medical science based on research. It can change future. But today, what they're saying is you can only process 16 to 32 grams of fructose per day. That's all you can process it. Anything beyond, your liver will struggle, your mitochondria will struggle, will get into problem. So that means 16 grams is only a small cup of mango. For example, I don't know, this is a dal cup we have seen actually. The dal cup, you have it, and that is 16 grams of mango. A double of this 32. So you have one normal size mango, 32 grams of fructose already you are eaten at. And same thing happens with apple. Apple has got good amount of fructose and many of the syrups and many of the things. So if you can calculate what is the level of, but berries are good. Where it is good, cranberries, blueberries, raspberries, they have a very low amount of fructose. So you can have some good quantities of berries. But bananas, mangoes, jackfruits, all this sweet tea fruit, they have very high amount of fructose. So if you are able to control all your artificial processed foods with fructose, all the syrups which are sold in the supermarket with fructose, if you remove it, and also fruits control it, it is better for our life. Just remember, ma'am, around 32 grams of fructose is the maximum you can eat.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
This is
Yeah.
Jayanti here.
Hello, Gopi. This is Rajkumar.
Yeah, Rajkumar, please go on.
I have one question.
Yeah,
That means my name is Rajkumar. I'm living in Switzerland. I'm around 42 years old. At the age of 40, I got 2 stents in my heart, and I also got a stroke. So I have one question. Means I am a vegetarian, and I try to be very nature friendly. Like I try not to eat processed food, all these things. I got a high cholesterol, and I tried to convince my doctor not to take pills. I tried to cut all the fats, everything, but I couldn't manage to control my cholesterol. And then end of the day, I had to do angioplasty. So my question is, how does the food really impact on the cholesterol? Means since last 2 years, I eat everything, just I take a pill. My cholesterol is perfectly in a control. I did again the heart check and everything is fine. My doctor told that the cholesterol is only 10% is coming from your food, 90% is on your body structure and how the body works. So what is your opinion? And second question is, how does the processed food, means in the market we are eating the vegetables, fruits and everything, we think that it is good for a body, but we don't know what are the chemicals added into it. So how does it impact on our body and these cholesterols and blood pressure and all these things?
They're very good questions, sir. This is a challenge a lot of people have with respect to the cholesterol, fat, and adulterated food from the industry, right? And obviously, start with the food itself. Whatever you buy from the market, let's look at it actually. When you say I'm eating a fresh fruit, it's not fresh food, right? It's basically incorrect statement. Like example, you go to a supermarket, buy a apple from Australia. That's an Australian apple. It's got, you know very well, from Australia to Switzerland, for example, or Europe, or even India, it's going to take 2 months by ship. And by the time it comes to supermarket, it's 3 months or 4 months later. So it is not a fresh apple anymore. You are buying from a supermarket, but it's not a fresh apple. It's already 4 months old. So obviously they use a lot of refrigeration and chemicals to sustain it. So the same thing happens with every vegetables imported today, or every spice imported. If you look at any spice in the market, they already have, a supermarket will not accept a product from you. Even suppose, for example, you are a producer of spices or any kind of health product.
Properly, your hair is sitting like a monkey.
If
Monkey
you are
will sit like this. You're a girl.
if you are, for example, if you sell it to a supermarket, they won't accept it unless it's got a 18 months to 24 months expiry date. Because for them, by the time it is shipped from one place to another part of the world, it is 4 to 6 months by shipping. By the time it comes from wholesaler to retailers, it's 6 months time. And then on the rack, they want to keep at least 6 months to 1 year to sell it. So they want 12 months to 18 months expiry date. That is why everything you see in the supermarket will have an expiry date of 12 to 18 months. And obviously they want to add chemicals, all kinds of things to stabilize that expiry date. So it's bad for health. Anything we look at, but also the FDA government says that we are within the limits to stabilizing agents are within the limits. But everybody knows actually what happens with, there are thousands of cases that FDA in the US has recalled back what is already approved. Many drugs have been called back. Many of these stabilizing agents have been removed, saying that is thing. And you look at the pesticides we're using for crops. Every pesticide is bad for health, and we are using them, and then that is coming in the rice and wheat and everywhere. So the adulterated food is a big problem. Organic is very good, but organic, no one knows how good it is. So there is a problem, sir, actually on that. So one of the best thing what we can do is to manage the cooking process such a way that you combine the cooking process to destroy most of this pesticide and chemicals by the right cooking process. And problem with us is we go for green salad. It's good one, but green salad is good only if you know the source of everything. Similarly, a lot of people eat tomato as a raw, which is not correct again, because tomato, unless you boil it to a particular temperature, the amino acid in tomato will not get released in the body. Same thing happens with pepper and turmeric. A lot of people use turmeric wrongly because turmeric cannot be absorbed by your liver at all. You throw it out. But turmeric has to be combined with pepper. But what we do, you go to a supermarket, we have a turmeric latte, turmeric smoothie, turmeric tea. All of them cannot be absorbed by the body. And so this is where the issue comes in with respect to the food. The only way we can save ourselves from the impact of the food is by cooking process. By knowing the spices, knowing the food, it's very important that we cook to the right temperature, right level of cooking, and then we get right mixture of spices and food. We ate them very well. Simple example, right? The Italians eat pizzas and a lot of cheese for various reasons in their country. But a tropical climate, somebody sitting in Chennai with a hot climate, they don't need that kind of cheese and pizza here. But we eat it without thinking about it. And for example, some of the people in Andhra, for example, eat a very spicy food for thousands of years. Whatever happened with their staple food. But somebody coming from UK or Himalayas and then eat this spicy food, they are going to have a problem. We do everything now. If you look at Europe, Western Europe, people go and eat the spicy food of Indian food because of the taste. We are moved into taste instead of health. That is the problem with the food. With respect to the cholesterol model, as you correctly pointed out, there are two aspects of it. One is coming from the food we eat. Second thing, so food again, even if you don't eat fatty foods, but your carbohydrates can convert itself into a fat. That's a fact actually. Your insulin will convert your extra carbohydrates, glucose, into fat. So a lot of people say, I had a very, very low fat diet. I'm not eating any fat, but they eat a lot of carbohydrates and sugary food, a lot of sugars they eat. That glucose is converted back into fat. And what happens is, as you eat more and more, the energy conversion in mitochondria is also going to get affected. And then what happens is that based on this kind of various fat, the LDL cholesterol, as you're talking about, we just talked a little back. Your LDL cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, the numbers have no meaning, sir. For example, you measure the LDL cholesterol today, it's got a number of 40 or 28 or 60, whatever it is, or your HDL cholesterol is a particular number. Number has no value today. What is important is that your particle size of cholesterol is extremely important. That number 40 is coming from X particle size and Y quantity, or it is coming from A particle size and B quantity. If the particle size is smaller, the quantity is going to be high. That LDL particles is going to clog your arteries. That might have happened for many people. But today, when you go to a lab, we don't ask them to test the particle size and the quantity of particles. We simply take the LDL number, and then the doctor's looking at say, oh, you have a very high cholesterol, but it's not the right thing. You may have a 60 or 70 LDL, but if your particle size is longer and the quantity is smaller, you are healthy. And that is where the problem is, sir. So cholesterol can come from food, can come from exercise, can come from internal body conditions. But in all these aspects, what is important is you try to maintain a higher particle size of cholesterol by right approach than the smaller size.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah, Jayanti, please go on.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. It was like a punchline out from Rajinikanth. You know, he was very strong, and the conviction from Muthu sir was amazing. You know, what all we studied for these 2-3 years on nutrition, he just put it in one slide, and it was mind blowing. The analogy of the car and all that. You know, I felt that our lecturers are also like that. You know, giving analogy and teaching us in a very simple way, like Muthukumar sir. Kudos, sir. Thank you so much. My one question or my one request to you is that we always talk about those WWW part, what to eat, when to eat, where to eat, all that. But this how part is always missed. So when we do assessment, as you rightly said, every system is different. All 5 fingers are not same. So we spend about more than 5 to 6 hours in doing an assessment completely about their history and everything when we do a consulting job. But the problem is they don't try to understand the how part of it, how to eat. We just say in one word that you need to chew properly, we need to chew properly. But mindful chewing is, there is so much of data and case studies which shows that whatever junk even you eat, when you do the digestive thing in your mouth, 50% of your problem is solved. So that is, we've been taught in moral instruction class when we were kids, like, why moody happened 216 times, all that. That's totally forgotten now, and we look into the screen, all those mobiles, and eat. All that even is pardoned. But we speak and we drink water. All that. This how part. I want you to do an research and present to us, sir, which will be and everybody are there to listen to you. This whole crowd will be way more healthier by your talk.
Oh, thank you, madam, and I appreciate that. And you are absolutely correct about the way we eat. The problem is that if you observe somebody eating, right, one of the biggest challenges on the current system is buffet meals, for example, right? When the buffet meals, people, when they see a buffet meal, many people are afraid that it won't be available. So try to accumulate everything in a single plate and eat everything together. And when we eat something, we always eat faster to consume food to look at the second piece. Can you get more chicken by eating faster? Can I get a second helping by eating faster? And we keep talking and we keep watching something and eat very fast. We gulp and swallow instead of munching it and making it into small pieces, as you correctly pointed out. But it's a cultural problem, and it's an extremely difficult. It's a social behavioral sciences. It has to come from very engaged from the parents, the society, community, and the schools and everywhere. That is what we call it as eating manners, and that has to develop, madam. So it has to start from very young age. It for a grown-up people is extremely difficult to tell them. Even I had that problem. It's not that I've been like that. I used to eat fast actually because when I was working, I used to have business lunch and used to have fast while having meeting. I used to eat, but I changed a lot now, trying to eat less. I'm trying to watch less movies while eating or do something better, talk less, and it's a practice has to come. Madam Jayanti is a big challenge for a lot of people, and it has to come from social behavior side. We are not touched it now, But maybe in the part 3, I want to elaborate the physical exercise aspect, eating habits, and the social behavioral sciences. And we have to bring that kind of a manners into everybody. I agree.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, Ramakumar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go on.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
you are. Go on.
Yeah. See, my name is Ramkumar. I am from Sulurpet. I last 6 months I have been following completely a different pattern and lifestyle where my cooked food intake is hardly 1%. I take only raw food, whether even tomatoes, I take a lot of tomato juices, raw tomato juices. And the benefit I got was that my diabetes got reversed in 8 days, flat 8 days. First March I started, 8th March, my 160 used to be my fasting sugar, it came down to 100. Similarly, a lot of many more things happened in my body, like my cyst has gone down to skin level, my skin color has changed, I became more active and all these things. My doubt is very clearly that 1979 China study by Dr. T. Colin Campbell, which they did 15 years, have very clearly told any animal product is a disaster for human health. That clearly they have given scientific evidence. Almost 15 years study is there. It's called China study. Now, I want to also know from you, what is your opinion on China study? Second thing is dairy. I don't believe in dairy. I don't touch dairy. Last 6 months, I have not touched even curds. But I do take curds. I do take milk, but only coconut, nut-based. All nut-based milks I make myself, and I make curds also with that. I eat it also. So I just want to know, and I am more active now than when I was eating all kinds of food. Once a week only I take cooked food. That is on Sundays. What is your opinion?
Very interesting, sir. Very interesting point with respect to first China study. There are a lot of studies, and I don't think I come across the China study. But I have done different studies I've done on the animal protein, because a lot of studies are done, a lot of surveys have been done. The specific one, what you mentioned, to be very frank, I have not come across it. But similar studies for animal protein, like other doctors, other scientists, have gone through it. Obviously, our ancestors, we lived with animal protein. Ultimately, before our agriculture crop only started about 8,000 years back, sir. Before that, we were only hunters and foliage people. We were kind of hunting and eating animals for nearly more than 70,000 years. But 70,000 years because of the Homo sapiens. But our humanity for the last 2 million years were only hunters eating animal protein. The last 70,000 years is Homo sapiens, all of us are here today, we're eating only animal protein. Only 8,000 years back, after the last ice age, we started producing crops. We started producing crops of rice and wheat and all of them from a natural foliage and forage. We started cropping them. And we also domesticized animals like chicken and goat and everything out along with that for 8,000 years. So all our life, what you are seeing here, that even around 1,000 years back, 800 years back, we only ate animal proteins. Even all the vegetarian people today, even from a religious perspective, I do not know whether you are a philosophical or religious person, but even our religious scholars, even to the Vedic time, the Vedic scholars, they were eating non-vegetarian. It's a very common known factor that every thing. So only around 2,400 years back, some people converted them from eating meat, but they're still eating animal thing from dairy and cheese, and some people are eating egg and all these things. So only very recently, sir, about 150 or 200 years before, the complete vegetarian aspect came in, and the vegan thing also came up very recently, that even egg will not be eaten, no dairy will be eaten, nothing, even honey. People don't even eat honey. Honey is coming from bees, they don't want to eat it. That kind of 100% vegan came only in the very recent years. So there are not huge studies available for it, and animal protein, if we eat a lot of it, it's bad for health. No doubt at all. Everybody agrees with that. Especially red meat of beef and lamb meat. If we eat a lot of them, they are bad for health because they're highly saturated and they will be bad for your cholesterol and all these things. But white meat like chicken and fish with omega-6 and omega-3 with the fish, they're not bad for health as long as they are moderate. So moderate animal protein, because it gives all the amino acids, all the 9 of them, plus they're also moderately good with the white meat. They have some good protein with them. Moderate amount of food, as long as the body accepts eating them, is not a problem. The important issue is that when you're eating all the raw materials, I agree that you got improved and everything out. It was very nice. But at the same time, one thing is very clear. Many vegetables, many spices, even something like tomato, for example, if they're not heated to a particular temperature, the amino acids they have or the polyphenols, most of the spices are good. For example, garlic, you have ginger, you have the turmeric and pepper, and any of this asafoetida, whatever you call it, all of them, they are very good with polyphenols. These polyphenols are the very good for health, including curcumin coming from turmeric. All of them. These polyphenols are released only at a particular temperature, not when you eat raw. So there is again schools of thought. Raw food, as I was saying earlier, skipping breakfast has got million for and million against it. Like raw food, like what you're eating, will also have a million yes and million no, mainly because raw foods definitely will not release the polyphenols from spices, and some of the amino acids will not be released. So what kind of effort it will have on the health is difficult to say now, because body is designed to fight against imbalance as long as it is possible. So one time we will gain somewhere, we may lose somewhere. We do not know. That is why it is recommended by the modern science that you have a balanced diet which balances your homeostasis, your energy inside your body. Because if you lose something else, your energy may grow better in one place, but it may not be uniform across the entire human health. That is the current science understanding, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, one small question can I ask on milk?
Yes, sir, please.
Sir, there is a hormone called renin in human body, which exists only till 2 years from the date of birth. After 2 years, renin doesn't exist. Once renin doesn't exist, milk cannot be digested. This is what science says.
Right.
So that is the reason the dairy milk, especially the milk coming from animals, which has got a useless sugar called lactose, supposed to be very dangerous. So that is the reason people say you go for nut milk. Now, no animal in the world other than human beings take other animals' milk.
Right, that's correct.
Right. So that is my reason why this milk is. I read the book called milk. I am not talking about A1, A2, because even A2 milk today, what is available is all pasteurized. It is useless. Because the way Ayurveda says, A2 milk, the cow should go to forest and come back. 60% milk should be given to the calf. 40% milk should be taken. That is called ahimsa milk. That should be consumed within 2 hours, which is next to impossible nowadays. So that's the reason they say dairy is a disaster for human health. What is your opinion?
You are right about this hormone. It's also about lactose. More than 50% of the people in the world are lactose resistant. They cannot drink milk. It's correct. You are absolutely right about it. So if you are lactose resistant, milk is not good for your health. Milk has got 3 major issues actually with respect to health of human beings. One is lactose, as you correctly pointed out, and more than 50% of the human population across the world is lactose resistant because of the hormone. So they cannot drink milk. You're absolutely correct on that. Second is milk's protein is very hard to digest. For many people, the digestion of the milk is not easy. For example, when we have a lot of milk-based tea, and if we drink 3 or 4 tea, you may find it difficult to digest it. That way, most of the Western Europeans and Americans, they like black tea and black coffee instead of milk. And third is that milk has got some allergens, which is not suitable for many human beings, again, because of certain aspects in the birth. So if you are affected by any of these 3, lactose resistant, allergic, and difficult to digest the protein of the milk, milk is not at all good. But again, when it is fermented, like yogurt or a cheese, these effects are more or less kind of little eliminated. It becomes much better. So people who cannot drink milk can even be able to eat yogurt, because yogurt is the most naturally available probiotics, which are very helpful for. Same thing with the fermented dairy like the cheese and all, as long as it's eaten with a moderate level without affecting your level. I fully agree on the dairy side. But dairy again depends upon the individual. It is not a uniform across the world. I am not lactose resistant. I have no allergic with milk. I am not having any problem digesting protein. So I eat milk every day, yogurt and cheese every day comfortably. I don't feel anything bad at all. But similarly, maybe my brother or even my sister may not be able to eat it. So every sibling is different. Every twin is different. So you have to choose your body's condition and go with that. And nut-based milk like almond milk or any milk is very good for health, soy milk. But again, they also have limitations with respect to some aspects of the human health, because nothing is 100% perfect. Again, you have to look at your body and decide, okay, this is good for me or not.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, one last question we can take. Because we have been holding Mr. Muthukumar for a long time. Mr. Venkatesh, Mr. Venkatesh, please go on, Venkatesh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the last minute approval. Sir, good afternoon, sir. I'm Venkatesh SK. I'm an agriculture graduate by profession and by study. So nowadays, this avocado as a fruit is being, sold and marketed in India as like an up-class fruit. And 3 years ago, it was costing like a kilo of 180 rupees or something. Now it has gone up to 600 rupees and it's not even available readily. It's very hard to find it even. Is there real health benefits out of that avocado butter fruit? Is it a health fruit, or what is it that that is pushing the prices so high in so short time? And what I've heard is that it is usually consumed in the tropical belts of Africa, Senegal, North Nigeria, those places that always been used as a breakfast along with the bread and all. So now it is picking up in metros of India, like Chennai, Bangalore and all. Is there a real health benefit out of it?
Very interesting. This is excellent question, actually. Avocado, again, is a staple food for many Africans, and also in Mexico and other places, actually, and it's a very normal food there. Avocado, as its own, has got good medical properties, but at the same time, it is not an essential product in the tropical climates where we don't have avocado. And we have our natural, several occurring natural fruits and plants in the tropical countries where we can eat. So avocado is a good product, but again, food industry is creating a massive memo thing for revenue generation and profit, and they're marketing it, and they're creating this kind of a demand to increase the price of avocado. If we do not eat avocado, for example, for thousands of years, we never ate avocado as a product in this part of the world, in India, for example. It's very recent development coming from this. So it is not required, sir. It's a good product. If it's available, it is affordable, it is cheaper, we can eat avocado. If it's not, better to forget it and go with our natural staple available food within our tropical climates.
That makes me a question now. That was my initial, your perspective was my initial consideration as well. But then when we look at the vegetables like carrot, cabbages, that was even exotic once. In India, in Tamil Nadu, it was not there until the British came home, what I've heard. Yeah. So then it became now every household vegetable that we are cultivating here locally and we are consuming here. So does that mean a plant, if it can grow in that local area, that means that plant's adaptability for that climate is there. So which by default will is consumable by the people who are living in that area. So could we take an interpretation like that?
Now, the two things on this. One is the naturally occurring products, other one is by practices. Carrot, for example, is not I mean, it's promoted like a vitamin A and good for eyes and all these things by industry. But carrot is not proven to be a great vegetable as compared to other vegetables we have. For example, Tamil or English level, I may not be able to tell you that names like pirkangai or sorakai or pagakai, for example, and all these things. I don't know how to say in English. Those things have a much better medicinal properties and value compared to carrot. But carrot was promoted again. Carrot was extremely promoted by the food industry to come in. And obviously, the seeds actually keep growing. Nature has got a funny way of adapting to the situation and environment. So carrot got adapted to the situation. Same thing will happen to avocado also future. And what will happen is, it is by practice people follow. Like if you ask anybody about carrot, straight away they will say carrot has got higher level of vitamin A. It is very good for your eyesight. But it is not always the truth, because to achieve that much of vitamin A and eyesight, you have to eat a lot of carrots every day. We don't eat carrot. We carrot probably once a week. People eat carrot or twice a week, and it's not enough quantity we are eating that. Same thing with any vegetables, sir. The problem is how much quantity we eat. Again, the study, I do not know the study is correct or not. As I said, every study changes, but the study says that I have to have at least 15 grams of ginger and garlic to make it effective for the body. But we never eat 15 grams of ginger, because ginger probably 1 or 2 spoons we put in various food and eat it out. So same thing happens to the vegetables, sir. It's by practice and by promotion and nature's adaptability for growing, it is coming into picture. But it's not essential. But the natural growing vegetables, like I said, pirkangai, sorakai, vadakai, or pagakai, are naturally formed. They have a lot of health nutrients available here. Promoted materials like this, they are good, but they're not essential. We can live without that. But Ningale Solupang, I don't know whether you can understand Tamil, but if you look at it, how many people eat the pirkangai or pagakai or any kind of this thing?
I do, sir. I do, sir. I do eat them. It's a pirkangai. Yeah. Snake god, bottle god, and bitter god. That's what the name is of.
Yeah, bitter god, yes.
Vegetables. And one more, just a slight thing I just wanted to add to the comment, one speaker before, about the vegetarian, non-vegetarian origin. We are the only animal, we belong to the animal kingdom, where we are the ones, along with the monkeys, are the prehensile ones, where our hands are adapted to catch something with our fingers, and our legs were even prehensile, but then we were our habitat was on the tree or was in the trees. So then at one point we ran out of food in the trees, and we came down and started catching the animals in the ground and started eating. And still one of the species of the the monkey kingdom still are a non-vegetarian, which is a baboon kind of in one country especially. Their teeth are like almost similar to the saber tooth, the tigers kind of thing. So it is an evolution of what was available at that time. When you run out of a vegetarian food, maybe there's a forest fire, and these monkeys couldn't stay up in the trees. They came down in the plains and they started hunting. So whenever there is what is best adaptable to the food, at that point you will become a vegetarian or you will become a non-vegetarian. There is no religion as part of this. That is my humble opinion. We all can suit ourselves to the environment that we are in. What is available at that time in Kolkata, more people consume fish because it is very readily available, and more food is available at that fish. So if you are in a very green environment, the Kurinji Nilam, we have 5 different types of living atmosphere in Tamil. Kurinji, Neidal, Palai, Marudam and all. So wherever you live, accordingly you eat what is available in that. That's essential.
No, you're absolutely right. Very interesting aspect about the monkeys coming down the trees, and absolutely correct about it. We are adoptive situation. That's why we adopt. Our nature itself is adopted. And again, you're right. It's not about religious, but people made it as religion. For example, in Hinduism, for example, they brought the vegetarian aspect into religion for various reasons. For various reasons, I'm talking about thousands of years back, at least 2000 years back. They brought it into religion, the food habits into religion. Even today, religion plays a major role, whether you eat pork in Islam, beef in Hinduism. So every religion has got some food you should not eat, or they don't see. They convert it to a religion aspect. And adaptability, I fully agree with you. You said beautifully. In fact, you said very nicely about the monkeys and adaptability when they came down, what is available and greenfield. There was one exercise, one experiment in 1970s or 71. If you go to Google, if you can find out, there was an air crash and a lot of people, they went to some very icy place and people survived there. And then after some time when no food was there, people started eating the dead human bodies as an actual story, true story. You'll find from Google actually. And then they, and the dead bodies, the survivors, when they finally were recovered, the survivors said that the last few days they were eating the human bodies. So obviously they adapted to the human.
Yes. Yes, sir.
There was a point about the government trying to put them as a secret files because they don't want that to be informed to everyone. So interesting stuff about this adaptability, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Gopi, sir.
Thank you, thanks, sir. Thanks, sir. Raghuram, please go, Raghuram. Please go on, Raghuram.
Again. Okay, I just want I didn't want to take time. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please. Go on, Raghuram.
Yeah, project manager turned wellness consultant and wellness product distributor. Your session was like a honey flowing into my ears because I all the time talk about free radicals, antioxidants, and amino acids and all these things. So it was a great session. It was like attending any MBS course or a wellness course. Thank you so much. I will get in touch with you later. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate, sir. Thank you.
Sanjay, any questions, Sanjay? One last question you have.
Sir, it is just regarding, sir, that water, this Kangen water from Japan, sir, it is rich in antioxidants. So what is your view on that, sir?
I heard about that, sir. There are a lot of information was flowing about it, but to be very frank, I didn't have time to look at it very detailed, sir.
Okay, sir. That's a very interesting product, sir, in case you want to study. Okay,
sir. I'll do that. I'll note it down and definitely look at it. Thank you very much for this information.
Sir, excellent. I should say that. Excellent. And now we start respecting our body and realize also the market forces, how they play with our body and create havoc, especially though mixed those gullibility, endorsements, and the 11 hours only nutrition study in the 4 hours. In 4 years of medical degree. All these are market forces, sir. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
Aramar, sir. Rajendran, sir. Unmute.
Yeah. Oh, it was very nice to hearing all this. And it has opened most of our views about taking food, and I think this will create more impact for our future, better health. Really, it is more useful. And Muthukumar, you have studied in various aspects, able to reply for most of the questions. Really wonderful.
Thank you, Rajendran. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it, sir.
Yeah.
Right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We'll not hold you back any longer. We have taken more than
Thank you. It was my pleasure, Mr. Gopi. I thank you very much for that.
No, it's okay. It's a pleasure. It's our pleasure hosting you, and we look forward to having a third session, sir.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.